Chapter 215. Qin Yushu was standing next to Lu Kuan. When he saw the voice transmission talisman, he knew who it was. Then he used his powerful divine sense and easily eavesdropped on the contents of the voice transmission talisman. Then this gentleman revealed a wretched smile and approached Lu Shidi. He laughed and said, "Lu Shidi, this is a rare opportunity. How can you not go when a beauty invites you? Don't worry, I'll tell you." Then Qin Yushu walked to the front of the cloud-treading ship and respectfully said a few words to Zhang Xingyu. After a while, Zhang Xingyu's divine sense reached Lu Kuan. "Remember, you have to return to the sect in 3 days." Lu Kuan's face lit up, and he bowed towards Zhang Xingyu. Then he summoned a light purple spirit shuttle and flew away. This spirit shuttle was Zhao Jinhong's flying magic tool. It was a top-quality flying magic tool, and it was extremely fast. Then a female cultivator flew out of the Devil Cloud boat and flew alongside Lu Kuan. They flew towards the mountain range. Many cultivators from the Miraculous Gate and the Yang clan were envious. After Lu Kuan and Shun Mengyao flew away, Su Tianchuan said worriedly, "You let them go just like that?" Junior martial brother Lu Kuan was ambushed by people from the Miraculous Gate. "If we let them go alone, won't Lu Kuan be in danger?" Zhang Xingyu shook his head and said, "We all heard about junior martial brother Nye. He said that person crippled his cultivation for another reason. Junior martial brother Nye didn't blame that person. Also, that person didn't take the opportunity to kill junior martial brother Nye. This shows that the two of them have a subtle relationship. Junior martial brother Nye is now in the core formation stage. Let him deal with his own matters. Also, junior martial brother Nye has let go of what happened to junior martial brother Luo after this battle. My Yang clan is weak right now. If our disciples and the Miraculous Gate have more Dao companions, I'll feel more at ease." Besides, junior martial brother Nye was ambushed because his hidden spirit root disappeared. Although Lu Kuan also has a hidden spirit root, he has a spirit-controlling immortal artifact, and his cultivation base is above his physical body. His strength is only stronger than junior martial brother Nye's when he was in the early foundation establishment stage. Hearing this, Su Tianchuan suddenly showed some curiosity and said, "Old monster Zhang, didn't you say that you know this kid's cultivation method? Tell me about it." "You old bastard, you even want to know the cultivation method of the foundation establishment stage. You're really thick-skinned. It's not like you don't know that my cultivation requires reference from various cultivation techniques. All right, I only know the cultivation method of the qi condensation stage." At that time, Lu Kuan hadn't created his foundation establishment stage cultivation method yet. Then, Zhang Xingyu told Su Tianchuan about Lu Kuan's cultivation method. However, these two Yang clan core formation stage cultivators didn't notice Shan Mingyao's master, Fairy Ling. After seeing Lu Kuan and Shun Mengyao fly away, she revealed a somewhat profound expression. After half a day, the Yang clan's cloud-treading boat arrived at the sect first. Zhang Xingyu and the others greeted the leader of the Miraculous Gate group and led the remaining 60 or so Yang clan disciples into the forbidden great formation of the Yang clan. The leader wore a black robe, and his eyes were like lightning. His expression was grave and stern, and his cultivation was extremely profound. He was at the peak of the late core formation stage and was only one step away from the peak of the core formation stage. It could be said that he was the strongest person in the Miraculous Gate. He glanced at the Yang clan's encampment with an indescribable expression and waved his hand. 4 Devil Cloud boats flew rapidly towards the Miraculous Gate. While flying, the black-robed man said to Fairy Ling beside him, "Junior martial sister Ling, is your little disciple going to use the magical power of the art of unruffled beauty just like you did back then?" Fairy Ling's divine sense was incomparably cold as she said, "Senior martial brother Lu is right. Mengyao has already made her decision yesterday. She's going to walk the same path as me back then." Senior martial brother Lu coldly snorted and said, "You didn't have the heart to do it back then and didn't go to the extreme. Your disciple is probably the same. This Lu Kuan's cultivation method is unheard of and his strength can only be stronger than that person back then. I don't want to leave any future troubles." Upon hearing this, Fairy Ling's expression turned cold, and she respectfully said, "Senior Martial Brother Lu, I understand. I'll follow Meng Yao just in case." Senior Martial Brother Lu nodded and looked at Fairy Ling, who was about to fly out. He suddenly said, "I'll let Junior Martial Brother Song go with you." Fairy Ling was a little displeased when she heard this and said, "Senior Martial Brother Lu, what do you mean? You want Senior Martial Brother Song to monitor me? Do you think I, Lin Yuedong, will be soft-hearted and let Brat go?" Senior Martial Brother Lu shook his head and said, "How can I not know Junior Martial's sister's temperament? I want Junior Martial Brother Song to describe to you the powerful opponents we'll have to face in the following battles." Fairy Ling was puzzled and asked, "Powerful opponents?" Half a year ago, as you know, Junior Martial Brother Song was undercover at the Shangqing sect. He successfully entered the Shangqing sect's assault team and became the leader. That's how he was able to kill 2 birds with 1 stone. He quietly delivered the Shangqing sect to our doorstep and was able to smoothly eliminate the Yang clan's reinforcements. Fairy Ling said with some disdain, "This Senior Martial Brother Song is said to have entered the sect in the same year as you. I don't know about his strength and aptitude, but in a situation where there were so many core formation cultivators, he was still able to let Wang Ruobing, who was in the middle stage of the core formation realm, escape. It seems that he's not that great." When Senior Martial Brother Lu heard this, he sighed and said with a somewhat meaningful tone, "No, Junior Martial Brother Song's strength is only a little worse than mine, and his aptitude is not much worse than mine. He also has the possibility of entering the nascent soul stage." He wasn't able to kill Wang Ruobing because a core formation cultivator from the Yang clan appeared on the battlefield that day. That cultivator was so powerful that even Junior Martial Brother Song, who was in the late stage of the core formation realm, couldn't injure him. In fact, he was injured by him. In the end, this Yang clan cultivator relied on his powerful escape techniques to rescue Wang Ruobing from the eyes of 6 early-stage core formation cultivators. Fairy Ling's expression didn't change as she listened, but her eyes flashed. It was obvious that her heart wasn't calm. Senior Martial Brother Lu glanced at Fairy Ling and continued, "From your expression, you should know who this new core formation cultivator is. If you hadn't been soft-hearted and spared his life back then, how could he have entered the core formation realm when his lifespan was nearing its end? With his terrifying strength as a foundation establishment cultivator, his wind attribute magic has increased to such a level after entering the core formation realm. Even if I were to face him alone, I wouldn't be able to do anything to him. On the way, Junior Martial Brother Song will describe his current strength to you in detail. By the way, this Yang clan cultivator called Lu Kuan also seems to have a hidden spiritual root, so you have to eliminate him completely." Fairy Ling's expression returned to normal, and she nodded silently. Then she flew towards the other Devil Cloud boat. A late-stage core formation old man also flew out of the flying boat. It was the late-stage core formation cultivator surnamed Song who had appeared at the Shangqing sect. Senior Martial Brother Lu had clearly sent him a voice transmission, so the old man naturally flew in the same direction as Fairy Ling. The Yang clan cultivators didn't notice the old man's existence at all. Otherwise, they would have been amazed by the strength of the miraculous gate. Senior Martial Brother Lu looked at the 2 people leaving and muttered, "Head Elder's plan should be fine. The rest is up to Junior Martial Sisterly. If she can succeed, then my miraculous gate, hee. Chapter 216. I've finally returned to the sect. These past 6 months have been truly thrilling. Fortunately, not only did I, Zhao Qingtian, not fall, but I also gained a lot. In the future, my cultivation will definitely improve greatly. As soon as Zhao Qingtian returned to the sect, he was extremely excited and talked nonstop. At the same time, a little yellow-haired monkey sat on his shoulder. This monkey looked left and right, as if it had no interest in what the person below it was saying. A few disciples of the Yang clan revealed a kind smile when they heard this. There were a few Foundation Establishment disciples here who had killed their opponents with the help of Zhao Qingtian. They were quite familiar with him and understood that this brat was a person who appeared to be mischievous on the outside, but was actually a very meticulous person. Otherwise, how could he rely on a single azure silk flying needle to kill so many opponents? In addition to the astonishing might of the flying needle, Zhao Qingtian's ability to mislead the enemy was truly not simple. Junior brother Zhao, aren't you going to chase after your junior sister Wan Er? I just saw her fly away. A senior brother from the Morning Sun Peak saw that Zhao Qingtian was getting more and more excited as he spoke and revealed a helpless expression. He pointed at the two women flying towards the Jade Yang Peak. Ah, thank you for the reminder, senior brother. Wan Er, wait for me. Zhao Qingtian only just realized that Sher Chao and Li Weiner did not greet him and left. At this time, the little yellow-haired monkey jumped down from Zhao Qingtian's shoulder and looked at Zhao Qingtian with disdain. It continued to run towards the Morning Sun Peak. Its four limbs ran on the ground, and from time to time, demonic flames would flicker. In a short while, it disappeared from the eyes of these people. Looking at Xiao Jin, who left alone, Zhao Qingtian rubbed his nose. He actually saw a look of disdain from his senior brother's monkey eyes. However, he did not care so much and quickly flew towards the Jade Yang Peak on his flying tool. Not long after, most of the Foundation establishment disciples slowly dispersed. They wanted to go back to their cave and have a good sleep. Although cultivators could use meditation to replace sleep, the mental relaxation that sleep gave people was not something meditation could replace. In the end, there were only about 10 disciples from the crafting peak left. Among them, Yi Zetian, who was in the late Foundation establishment stage, and Sun Haowen, who was in the middle Foundation establishment stage, were both in the group. However, the one who had fought with Lu Kuan back then, the one who used the flying needle magic tool, Senior Chung, was no longer there. Many weapon refinement peak disciples had already perished. Among the remaining disciples, Lu Kuan was only familiar with Fatty Zhu. Yi Zetian looked at the little yellow-haired monkey flying away and suddenly said to Fatty Zhu, "This little monkey is Lu Shidi's spirit beast, right? I didn't expect Lu Shidi's spirit beast to be so similar to his divine ability." Fatty Zhu nodded and said, "That's right. Senior brother Lu is so strong. He actually summoned such a powerful spirit beast in the last few battles. If it was me, Fatty Zhu, I would have summoned it at the beginning of the battle and killed everyone." Yi Zetian said, "This is where junior apprentice brother Lu is smart. If he had summoned such a powerful spirit beast from the beginning, it would have been more than just 5 cultivators in the middle stage of the Foundation establishment stage, surrounding him and junior apprentice brother Qin. Moreover, Lu Shidi and junior brother Qin's divine ability complemented each other. When the two of them are together, their strength is incomparably terrifying. They don't need the help of spirit beasts at all." Yi Zetian vaguely remembered the first time he saw Lu Kuan and Qin Yushu's knife formation. The endless flying knife attacks. If the number of flying knives increases, it will be an attack that makes people despair. Then, Yi Zetian looked at the remaining disciples of the crafting peak and sighed. This time, more than half of the Foundation establishment disciples of our crafting peak died in an instant. Many of our senior brothers who specialize in the refinement realm died as well. It's a heavy loss. Fatty Zhu also felt a bit emotional, but then he said, "Senior brother Yi, you can't say that. I don't know about the other senior brothers, but if I, Fatty Zhu, cultivate in seclusion for a period of time, I think I can cultivate from the early Foundation establishment stage to the middle Foundation establishment stage. My strength will increase a lot." Yi Zetian's eyes flashed with excitement. In this battle, all his opponents were in the late Foundation establishment stage. Although he didn't kill them, in the last battle at the 3 Spirit Veins, he and a few other cultivators of the 6 sects worked together to kill a few of them. The harvest was also not small. If he was lucky, he would be able to reach the peak of the Foundation establishment stage in 10 years and try to break through to the core formation stage. Through this battle, he knew that after entering the core formation stage, even if he became a senior in the cultivation world, His lifespan would be as long as 500 years, and he wouldn't be killed so easily. Then, the disciple with the highest cultivation level of the weapon Refining Mountain summoned his flying magic tool and flew towards the weapon Refining Mountain. However, after everyone flew away, Sun Haowen didn't go back. He revealed a slightly mocking smile and turned to walk towards the central area of the Yang clan. At the peak of Yuyang Mountain, an ordinary-looking woman sat in a pavilion. She looked at the two young women kneeling in front of her and revealed a gratified expression. This was Wang Ruobing, who was seriously injured half a year ago. At this moment, her complexion was ruddy and her breathing was stable. It was obvious that her injuries had recovered. The ones kneeling in front of her were Sher Chao and Li Weiner. Because Sher Chao had killed a few cultivators and exchanged them for a lot of spirit-gathering pills, her cultivation level had improved significantly. Li Weiner was the same. In Wang Ruobing's opinion, Sher Chao, who used to be a bit naive and sweet, seemed to have matured a lot after this battle. Her behavior was very different. The two of you must have had a good harvest. Open, tell Master how you escaped half a year ago and what kind of battles you experienced. Sher Chao giggled and immediately sat beside Wang Ruobing. She began to describe. At the same time, Li Weiner also sat on Wang Ruobing's right. As Sher Chao spoke, Wang Ruobing's expression kept changing. So Lu Kuan had already left his second-grade spirit beast with Zhao Qingtian. No wonder senior martial brother Su let this disciple who just entered the Foundation establishment realm go out so easily. In the past half a year, you've been cultivating alone. If you have any doubts about the cultivation method, tell me. Master will explain it to you. Then, Li Weiner began to talk about some of the problems with her cultivation method. Wang Ruobing listened carefully. Just as this female cultivator in the middle stage of the core formation realm was thinking about how to answer her disciples' questions, Li Weiner lowered her head and revealed a faintly discernible smile. Wang Ruobing seemed to have sensed something and looked forward. At that moment, Li Weiner's eyes released a dizzying black light. Two golden crescent blades appeared in her hands and shot towards Wang Ruobing, who didn't react in time. With a boom, the entire pavilion exploded. An extremely dazzling white light flashed past, and an ice crystal longsword emitting cold air fiercely knocked away the two moon blades. After the light dissipated, Wang Ruobing covered her dantian with one hand and looked at Li Weiner, who she regarded as her disciple, in horror. At this time, Li Weiner was completely different. She had turned into a beautiful young woman. Her appearance was similar to that of the little girl from before, but her whole body exuded an evil aura. With a burst of laughter that sounded like silver bells, Li Weiner said, "Fellow Taoist Wang's strength is indeed extraordinary. Your gold core was shattered by my golden crescent blade magic weapon, but you were still able to make such a powerful counterattack. At the same time, you also protected that little girl behind you." Chapter 217. Wang Ruobing's face was extremely pale. She gritted her teeth and said, "A late core formation cultivator." As she spoke, the aura on her body suddenly increased. At this moment, her mana actually reached the late core formation level. The ice sword in front of her became even more dazzling. Li Weiner saw this and laughed. She directly turned into a dim shadow and shot towards the central area of the Yang clan. Her voice came from the sky. "I'm not stupid enough to fight you. Your Aura's core is already broken. Even if you use all of your Aura's core's mana now, you won't be able to reverse the situation." When the powerful attack occurred on Yuyang Peak, the core formation cultivators from the other peaks immediately sensed it and quickly flew over. When they used their divine senses to check Wang Ruobing's situation, they were all extremely frightened. The first to arrive at Wang Ruobing's side was an old man with black and white hair and a face like jade. It was Niao Wufeng. He quickly took out a pill and sent it into Wang Ruobing's mouth. After a while, the white light outside Wang Ruobing's body dissipated, revealing a pale face and lifeless eyes. The ice sword in front of her had lost the support of her mana and split into two. They fell to the ground with a clang. Master, please be safe." When Sher Chao saw her master's appearance, she immediately rushed over and cried. She hugged Wang Ruobing's arm tightly and cried miserably. Sher Chao saw everything that just happened. She also heard Li Weiner's words clearly. Her master's Aura's core was broken and she didn't have long to live. Wang Ruobing looked at the seniors and juniors who rushed over and said with difficulty, "It's Li Weiner. She's a late core formation cultivator. She fooled everyone." Seeing that Wang Ruobing's aura was getting weaker and weaker, Nie Wufeng quickly poured out another pill and wanted to give it to Wang Ruobing. Wang Ruobing shook her head and pushed it away. She said, "Junior Nie, don't waste this soul-calming pill." She went to the central area of the Yang clan for another purpose. Nie Wufeng nodded. He stood up and said, "I'll have to trouble senior brothers to look after senior sister Wang. Leave that Li Weiner to me." Soon after, a cyan light flashed on Nie Wufeng's hands, and a gentle breeze appeared on the top of Jade Sun Peak. This gentle breeze finally gathered in Nie Wufeng's hands. His eyes flashed, and an extremely weak black aura appeared in his hand. He let out a cold snort, identified a direction, and disappeared into the distance. "Boo-hoo! Master, don't abandon Shui." Only Sher Chao's sorrowful cries could be heard from the peak. Other than Zhang Xingyu and Su Tianchuan, Zhu Siming from the Weapon Refining Peak was also present. There was also Luo Yuechi from the Azure Sun Peak. However, the other core formation cultivator from the Azure Sun Peak was nowhere to be seen. These core formation cultivators were all silent. Even the gods couldn't save a shattered golden core. Nie Wufeng's soul-calming pill could only prolong her life for a while. Wang Ruobing looked at Sher Chao, who was crying so sadly for her, and her pale face showed some relief. The only female core formation cultivator of Jade Sun Peak summoned the pair of ice swords that fell on the ground into her hands. Light flashed in her hands, and the magic power in her body that hadn't dissipated yet gathered in her hands. The white light on the ice swords became brighter and brighter. Finally, they turned into two rays of white light and entered Sher Chao's body. Wang Ruobing gently stroked Sher Chao's black hair. She wanted to say something, but she couldn't. Her eyes dimmed, and she passed away. "Boo-hoo! Master!" Su Tianchuan looked at Sher Chao, who was crying even more sadly, and couldn't help but comfort her. "Shui, although your master has passed away, her soul has entered the Tao of reincarnation. She still has a chance to cultivate again in her next life." Sher Chao hugged Wang Ruobing's corpse and refused to let go. She was indifferent to Su Tianchuan's words. Su Tianchuan sighed and said, "Shui, your master just used the sealing method of the mysterious ice technique to inject the remaining cultivation into her pair of ice swords, and then sealed them in your body. This means that your master has high hopes for you, and you still want to avenge your master." Hearing the second half of the sentence, Sher Chao's shoulders stopped trembling. She turned around, and her round little face was covered in tears. Her voice was trembling, but she said firmly, "Martial Uncle Su, you're right. I should pull myself together and avenge my master." Zhang Xingyu stood to the side. Seeing that the little girl had regained some calmness and her eyes were filled with hatred, he sighed and asked, "Shui, tell us what happened just now." Sher Chao nodded and used her hand to wipe away the tears on her face. She said intermittently, "At that time, Li Weiner was telling my master about the difficulties she had encountered in the past 6 months. I suddenly saw a flash of golden light. My master immediately protected me behind her. Then, Li Weiner saw that my master had activated all of her spiritual power, and she turned into a dim light and disappeared." After hearing Sher Chao's description, everyone's expression turned ugly. After all, they were all responsible for allowing a core formation cultivator to sneak into the sect for so many years. Su Tianchuan looked at everyone. His cultivation level was the highest among them, so he said, "Let's put Junior Wang's body in her cave residence. When Martial Uncle Fong returns, we'll report to him. Junior Nie's tracking and escape techniques are the strongest among us. With him chasing after her, there shouldn't be any problems. Even if we can't take her down, At least we'll know where she came from. This Li Weiner has been hiding in our sect for so long. She definitely didn't just want to sneak attack Junior Wang. She must have other motives. Then, Su Tianchuan thought of something and said to Luo Yueqi, Junior Luo, if I remember correctly, this Li Weiner was brought in by the Luo clan's Luo Tianwei. Do you know what happened? Luo Yueqi showed some confusion and said, I'm not too sure. Luo Tianwei seems to be in the sect. I'll call her up and ask her. Then, the Yang clan's core formation cultivators tried to find the origin of this Li Weiner. At the same time, by a small lake near the Lingming Valley, a man and a woman were hugging each other. The woman in black said in a reminiscing tone, Brother Kuan, it was after the trip to the Lingming Valley that I fell in love with you. Did you know? At the very beginning, when you broke my soul enchantment technique in Lingyu City, your figure appeared in my heart. Otherwise, I wouldn't have thought of cooperating with you. It's already good enough that I didn't kill a lecher like you. How could there be anything after that? When the burly man heard this, he teased, but I saw your entire body back then. Even if I died, it wouldn't be a loss. Ha! The woman gave the man a reproachful look and faintly said, Later, at the entrance to the Lingming Valley, I didn't think that you would protect me, a woman who once drew a sword against you, behind you. At that moment, your figure was imprinted in my heart, not to mention the various kinds of protection you gave me afterwards. Speaking of this, the woman seemed to be a bit shy. The man recalled and said emotionally, During that time, we almost died several times. Fortunately, our luck was good and we all survived. Brother Kuan, today is already the second day. In the following days, I will return to the sect for a long period of seclusion. We won't be able to see each other for a long time. When the woman said this, her face revealed a complex expression of shyness and sadness. How long will you be in seclusion? Is it very long? With the current escape technique, the distance between our two sects is only 2 or 3 days. The woman ignored the man's words. She placed her pale hand on the burly man's chest and gently stroked it. She raised her head to look at the man and said, Brother Kuan, Meng Yao wants to have a beautiful memory. Chapter 218. Not far away from the lake, there were 2 people floating in the air. The 2 of them looked at the black barrier beside the lake indifferently. One of them was an old man with white hair and a white beard, and the other was a woman. They were Old Man Song and Fairy Ling from the Miraculous Gate. For some reason, the black veil covering Fairy Ling's face had been removed, revealing a beautiful face. Although there were some crow's feet at the corners of her eyes, it gave her a mature charm. Junior Martial Sister Ling, this art of indifference is truly not simple. If I don't use my spiritual sense to break through this barrier, I won't be able to see what's going on inside. The old man looked at the situation below and revealed a surprised expression. What's wrong? Senior Brother Song, could it be that you're trying to spy on my disciple? Fairy Ling asked coldly upon hearing those words. Old Man Song didn't know whether to laugh or cry. He shook his head and said, Junior Martial Sister Ling, you've misunderstood. I'm just curious about this cultivation method. Besides, even if I wanted to spy on it, I wouldn't dare to take action. The essence-devouring technique in the art of indifference is extremely overbearing. My old bones still want to spy on the nascent soul stage. Fairy Ling didn't say anything after hearing this. She quietly looked down as if she could see through the black barrier. Seeing Fairy Ling ignore him, the old man continued. But, Junior Martial Sister Ling, I've already told you about Nie Wufeng's wind attribute abilities. With your understanding of him, I wonder if there's any way to deal with this powerful core formation cultivator. After saying this, the old man's expression became gloomy. He had experienced how difficult Nie Wufeng was to deal with last time. During the battle, he couldn't hit his opponent at all. Fairy Ling said, Nie Wufeng cultivates an incomplete ancient cultivation method called the Wind Shadow Technique. This cultivation method is incomplete, and very few people have successfully cultivated it. However, his comprehension of the wind attribute is extremely strong. He can easily cultivate this cultivation method, and he's especially proficient in escape techniques. Only cultivators one stage higher than him can catch him. From your description and Niao Wufeng's performance when he was in the foundation establishment stage, his current strength is almost at the level of being undefeated in the same year. Among the core formation cultivators, there might be cultivators he can't handle, but there definitely isn't anyone who can kill him. Unless we can trap him in a sealed formation to restrict his escape technique, Lin Feng said with a frown. Old Man Song frowned and muttered, "Could it be that we need a martial uncle from our sect to deal with him?" Fairy Ling added, "However, Niao Wufeng's greatest weakness is his hidden spirit root." You're talking about when his spiritual root disappears, but we don't know when his spiritual root will disappear. I know. According to the days, today is the day that Niao Wufeng's spirit root will disappear. Old Man Song was just about to say something when he suddenly noticed the demonic qi emanating from the black barrier down below. Clearly, something was going on inside. Fairy Ling's eyes flickered as she said in a low voice, "The vital devouring technique has begun." Inside the barrier below, after Shan Mengyao pushed down on him, Lu Kuan really felt the ecstasy that seeped into his bones. Shan Mengyao's Vajra esoteric art had reached grand completion, so her physical strength wasn't small. Her skin was very elastic, and the most important thing was that her physical strength was outstanding. That crazy demand almost made Lu Kuan unable to resist. At this moment, Shan Mengyao's hair was disheveled as she sat cross-legged on top of Lu Kuan. Her body couldn't help but tremble as her hands caressed Lu Kuan's face. She said with a somewhat sad tone, "Brother Kuan, I'm sorry. In order to personally take revenge, Mengyao has no other choice." At the same time, a few drops of crystal-clear tears fell from her eyes and smashed onto Lu Kuan's chest like marbles. "Mengyao, you?" As soon as Lu Kuan opened his mouth, he noticed that Shan Mengyao's shaking speed was getting faster and faster. Accompanied by a seductive moan, a dark demonic qi appeared on her body. Then, this dark demonic qi gathered at the place where the two were joined. Lu Kuan immediately felt a numbing force spread throughout his body, making him unable to move. He had already taken off his clothes, and the spiritual control bracer was also taken off to the side. He couldn't release any spells. There was no way for him to use his magic power to break free. Moreover, under the influence of this numbing force, his muscles couldn't even release the dual-colored barrier. Then, a suction force came from below. Lu Kuan's hair stood on end unconsciously. He felt a strong sense of danger, as if he was deep in the entrance of a black hole that was about to swallow him. This suction force seemed to target all the parts of his body that contained energy. It immediately found his muscles' magic power. His muscles' magic power was like a turbulent river, quickly flowing away. Feeling his magic power gradually decreasing and even disappearing, Lu Kuan was full of confusion. Looking at Shan Mengyao, whose expression had returned to a cold expression, he couldn't understand why Shan Mengyao wanted to absorb his magic power. He said with difficulty, "Why? Mengyao, why don't you have a choice?" Shan Mengyao didn't answer. Sitting cross-legged on Lu Kuan's body, she seemed to be closing her eyes and adjusting her breath. The aura on her body rose steadily, and finally, she easily broke through the bottleneck of the early stage of foundation establishment and reached the middle stage of foundation establishment. At the same time, Lu Kuan's muscles' magic power was also washed clean. Then, this suction force seemed to feel that Lu Kuan's physical energy was not satisfied. Waves of black qi climbed onto Lu Kuan's flesh, as if it was greedily nibbling away at his muscles. "Ah!" Lu Kuan couldn't help but scream. It was as if countless little insects were tearing at his flesh. It was incomparably painful. In the eyes of outsiders, Lu Kuan's body was shriveling up as if it had lost water. Sitting on his body, Shan Mengyao's face became redder and redder. Her snow-white body gradually emitted a strange fragrance. Outside, Fairy Ling and Old Man Song smelled this fragrance at the same time. Old Man Song was still fine, but Fairy Ling revealed a shocked expression. She couldn't help but say, "Extreme body? How is that possible?" Old Man Song's expression changed greatly. He asked with a trembling voice, "Are you talking about the extreme body that is comparable to a single attribute spiritual root and has no bottleneck when advancing to the core formation stage?" Fairy Ling murmured, "Although the essence devouring technique is overbearing, I've never heard of it giving people such a physique. Could it be that Meng Yao's Kuei water physique mutated under special circumstances?" "That's right. The essence devouring technique can devour special physiques. This means that Lu Kuan also has a special spiritual body. After the time it takes for an incense stick to burn past, the black light curtain dissipated, revealing the figure inside. Chen Mengyao wore a black dress and stood to the side. The tears on her face had completely disappeared, and her expression had returned to its usual cold state. Her whole body was emitting an extremely cold aura. Lu Kuan, who was lying on the ground, had changed his appearance greatly. He had become as thin as a match. Even the shape of his face had changed. At this time, his eyes were lifeless as he looked at the incomparably cold woman in front of him. Shin Mingyao glanced at Lu Kuan indifferently. She threw a black cloak to him and covered his body. Then, she took out a flying magic tool and flew in the direction of the miraculous gate without looking back. Lu Kuan looked at Shen Mingyao's back as she flew away. Feeling his body getting weaker and weaker, all kinds of questions flashed through his mind. Why? You haven't told me what to ask. Why don't I have a choice? No, I can't die so easily. That's right, the chi and blood pill. As this thought flashed through his mind, Lu Kuan gritted his teeth. His hand moved with difficulty to the spirit-controlling magic tool on the ground beside him and struggled to put it on his hand. Then, some mana fluctuations appeared on his body. Although Shan Mingyao's essence-devouring technique was overbearing, it had no effect on the liquid mana in Lu Kuan's bones. Chapter 219. After Lu Kuan felt the exuberant qi and blood in his body, he began to circulate the body-refining art to repair his body. After a while, he digested all the qi and blood in his body. He was much more spirited and had some strength. However, his body was still very thin compared to before. Then, he planned to absorb some spiritual energy into his body to recover some of his magic power. No, how is this possible? Lu Kuan circulated the body-refining art for a while and felt that it was different from before. The magic power he converted into his muscles was actually in a gaseous state. There was no way to convert it into liquid magic power. If he tried to forcibly convert it, his muscles would be in extreme pain. It was as if his current muscle fibers could not withstand the liquid magic power. Impossible. How could my physical strength be absorbed? Lu Kuan was at a loss. One had to know that when he was in the spiritual demon valley, the strange yellow demonic aura in the center of the demon valley absorbed his magic power. However, it was just magic power. His physical body did not change at all. The current situation was very obvious. His physical strength had regressed below the foundation establishment stage. Lu Kuan was sweating profusely. He muttered and continued to circulate his magic power. However, it was still useless. Fortunately, we came. This kid actually has a chi and blood pill. He can really survive. At this time, an old voice sounded. Lu Kuan suddenly opened his eyes and found that an old man had appeared in front of him. "It's you." The old man's surname Song was surprised and asked doubtfully, "You know me?" Lu Kuan did not answer. Instead, he looked at the woman beside him. His expression changed, and he said, You are Fairy Ling?" Looking at the woman with the same cold face, Lu Kuan's mind was in turmoil. He had already guessed that Shun Mingyao's change was due to the art of indifference. Therefore, he hated this core formation stage woman. However, the appearance of Fairy Ling was exactly the same as the drawing on a piece of parchment that Lu Kuan obtained from the Yi family. Thinking that this Fairy Ling also had the surname Ling, he could not help but blurt out, "You are Ling Yuetian's sister." Fairy Ling turned pale with fright and asked, "Who are you? Where did you hear about Ling Yuetian from?" Seeing Fairy Ling's reaction, Lu Kuan was even more certain. He didn't expect that this famous core formation stage female cultivator from the Miraculous Gate was actually the younger sister of the founder of the Vajra esoteric art. He didn't answer. Instead, he took out a piece of parchment. There was a drawing of a beautiful young woman with dark eyebrows. She wasn't much different from Fairy Ling except for the difference in age. Fairy Ling snatched the parchment and looked excitedly at the portrait on it. She stroked it quietly and didn't say anything else. Old Man Song didn't expect Lu Kuan to have some sort of relationship with Fairy Ling. If that was the case, wouldn't she let this brat go? He asked, Junior Marshal's sister Ling. How are you related to Lu Kuan? His surname isn't Ling, so he shouldn't be a descendant of your Ling family. Hearing this, Fairy Ling took back the parchment and asked Lu Kuan, Tell me, where did you get this parchment? Lu Kuan shook his head and didn't say anything. He had just felt Old Man Song's strong, killing intent. He had seen this old man with his golden eyes before. He was a core formation stage cultivator from the Shangqing sect. He vaguely felt that this old man was stronger than Fairy Ling. He didn't know why he was with the people from the Miraculous Gate. He was only in the Qi condensation stage. Even if he was in his strongest state, he wouldn't be able to survive against a core formation stage cultivator. Fairy Ling saw that Lu Kuan didn't say anything and suddenly felt a headache. When she rushed back to Jeju City, her brother Ling Yuetian had already been killed by that devil cultivator. Even his body had been taken away. Moreover, Ling Yuetian's descendants had already disappeared without a trace. It was really difficult to find a few mortals in a place as big as Luzhou. Moreover, she hadn't started cultivating at that time. Although the person in front of her wasn't surnamed Ling, he might be her brother's descendant. She also heard that her brother's strength was in his physical body. It was very similar to Lu Kuan's magic power on the battlefield. However, Lu Kuan's strength was much stronger. Just as Fairy Ling was hesitating and Old Man Song's expression became colder and colder, a black figure with a strong aura suddenly flew over from the horizon. Old Man Song felt that this aura was very familiar, but he couldn't remember it at the moment. Fairy Ling's expression changed, and she said, Isn't this Aura's senior sister Li Wan? Soon, the black figure appeared in front of the two and revealed the face of a flirtatious young woman. It was Li Weiner who killed Wang Ruobing in the Yayang clan. I really didn't feel it wrong. This must be Senior Brother Song. Previously, when I was among the disciples of Yang sect, I saw Senior Brother Song playing with the Shangqing sect. The old man, surnamed Song, looked at this person and finally remembered. It turns out to be Junior Marshal's sister Li. When we were in the Qi refining stage, we saw you in the sect. I didn't expect that Junior Marshal's sister Li was the one who infiltrated the Yu Yang sect. Li Wan's expression suddenly changed, and she said, Let's stop chatting. I felt your aura from afar and came to ask for help. Last time, you fought against that Niao Wufeng. I don't know what tracking technique he has, but he's very powerful. What? You're saying Niao Wufeng is chasing us? Fairy Ling's expression changed greatly. Old Man Song snorted and said, What are you afraid of? We have 2 late core formation stage and 1 mid-core formation stage. Niao Wufeng can't escape. Let's test his abilities. Suddenly, the old man's expression changed, and he threw out a long sword magic treasure towards Lu Kuan. At this time, Lu Kuan was wrapped in a dim green light. Although the long sword hit him in time, there was a pulling force that pulled it to the side. Then, Lu Kuan was wrapped in a green light and seemed to have teleported away from the 3 Miraculous Gate core formation stage cultivators. Then, an old man with white hair and a face like jade appeared in front of Lu Kuan. This old man's expression was indifferent, as if the people in front of him were just ordinary opponents. However, when the old man saw Fairy Ling, his expression finally changed, and he said, Ling Yutong, you've finally reached mid-core formation stage. It seems that your essence devouring technique was very useful. I later investigated and found out that you did it to deal with that devil cultivator from the 9 Underworld Gate. Congratulations, you've succeeded in your revenge. Looking at Lu Kuan, Niao Wufeng said, I didn't think that Lu Kuan would be the same as me back then. he would be devoured by the essence-devouring technique. When Lu Kuan heard Niao Wufeng's words and combined it with his own situation, he immediately understood. So the same thing happened to Niao Wufeng and Fairy Ling back then. He couldn't help but think, back then, Niao Wufeng announced that he was ambushed. So the essence-devouring technique of the art of unruffled beauty had sucked away all of his magic power. Then, Lu Kuan couldn't help but think. Under such circumstances, martial Uncle Nia was still able to cultivate to the peak of core formation stage. At the same time, he created a spirit-controlling magic treasure and reached core formation stage when his lifespan was nearing its end. Then what is the loss of my cultivation? I already have a spirit-controlling magic treasure and am countless times better than martial Uncle Nia back then. Why can't I cultivate again? Chapter 220. Seeing Niao Wufeng calmly rescue Lu Kuan from his hands, Elder Song's expression turned ugly. He said in a low voice, "Junior Martial Sister Ling, didn't you say that Niao Wufeng's spirit root disappeared today? Why is he still able to cast spells?" Fairy Ling was also very puzzled. The divine sense of a core formation cultivator was extremely powerful. She knew the time when Niao Wufeng's spiritual root disappeared. With a little calculation, she could accurately calculate the time when his spiritual root disappeared. It was impossible to be wrong. Unless Fairy Ling thought of something that was impossible, and a look of shock appeared on her face. Niao Wufeng looked at Elder Song and Li Wan, who had fought with him before, and said with a hint of sarcasm, "I, Niao Wufeng, have suffered once. I won't suffer a second time. In the future, I, Niao Wufeng, won't have the weakness of disappearing spirit root." The three people opposite him looked at each other in disbelief. They definitely didn't believe that Niao Wufeng could change the quality of his spirit root. They had never heard of such a method. Niao Wufeng looked at the three people in front of him and frowned. He muttered, "Li Weiner, Miraculous Gate, Shangqing Sect?" Then a thought flashed in his mind, and he said in surprise, "I understand. I understand now. You are all from the Devil Spirit Sect. Your target is the Yang clan." Niao Wufeng connected the information of the three people and immediately understood everything. He couldn't help but feel terrified by the design of the Miraculous Gate. What good plan! Many years ago, Li Weiner snuck into our sect. On one hand, she wanted to familiarize herself with the restrictions inside the Yang clan. On the other hand, she waited for the right time to kill our mid-stage core formation stage cultivator. As for this fellow Taoist, he must have snuck into the Shangqing sect even earlier. In addition to helping you set up the Shangqing sect's disciples, he also used the Shangqing sect's cultivators to destroy a team of our Yang clan. I didn't expect the Miraculous Gate to be so ambitious so many years ago. The three from the Demon Spirit sect looked at each other and gradually revealed killing intent. When Lu Kuan heard this, he immediately felt his blood run cold. From the beginning, the fall of the Yang clan's core formation cultivators to the annihilation of the Foundation establishment cultivators who came to their aid, it turned out that it was all part of the Miraculous Gate's design. Li Weiner is actually a late core formation cultivator. She snuck into our sect and even ambushed our core formation martial uncle. Could it be martial Uncle Wong? When Lu Kuan saw the appearance of this core formation stage female cultivator, he felt a little strange. Why did she look so similar to Li Weiner? No wonder I felt my heart palpitate from time to time in front of Li Weiner. I really don't know what that brat, Zhao Qin Tian, would think if he knew about this. According to Martial Uncle Nia, it's very likely that Li Weiner ambushed Martial Uncle Wong, who is Sher Chao's master. Let's not talk about what Lu Kuan was thinking. On the opposite side, Li Weiner suddenly laughed and said, "Fellow cultivator Nia's thoughts are indeed clear. When I fought with you before, I didn't have enough fun and was afraid that your fellow disciples would arrive. But now, I can't wait for your fellow disciples to arrive." Elder Song sneered and said, "Niao Wufeng, the three of us have a higher cultivation level than you. Even if you guessed it, so what? Today, we will take you down. The battle later will be much easier." As they spoke, three powerful spiritual senses pressed towards Nye Wufeng. If it was an ordinary early core formation stage cultivator, they wouldn't be able to unleash their full power. However, Nye Wufeng was different. He coldly snorted and waved his hand. A green light screen enveloped Lu Kuan. At the same time, an invisible spiritual sense that was no weaker than a middle core formation stage cultivator welcomed the three opponents. Lu Kuan was protected by the light screen. However, he could vaguely feel the terrifying spiritual sense colliding outside. He subconsciously hid all of his spiritual sense within his knowledge sea. Otherwise, even if he wasn't injured, he would still feel dizzy. He clearly saw this martial uncle of the weapon refining mountain that he admired to the extreme calmly withstood the combined attack of the enemy's divine sense. He only retreated half a step and his expression did not change much. However, the three core formation cultivators on the other side had formed a triangle and quietly surrounded Nye Wufeng in the middle. Ha ha ha! This old man, who reached the core formation stage in his twilight years, was fearless when he saw the three of them forming an alliance in the blink of an eye. He raised his head towards the sky and let out waves of wild laughter. With a strong and disdainful voice, he said, "With just the three of you, do you think you can defeat me, Nye Wufeng? Today, I will let you have a taste of my wind shadow spell after I reach the core formation stage." His opponents were two late core formation stage cultivators and one mid-core formation stage cultivator. Nye Wufeng was fearless. Lu Kuan looked at this elder of the sect who had helped him a lot. His face was bold and unrestrained. For a moment, he was captivated by his demeanor and his heart surged. Nye Wufeng's body emitted a green light that enveloped Lu Kuan. Gusts of wind suddenly appeared between the three of them. Wind. It was originally a formless object. When the wind brushed past one's face, it had no power. However, when it converged into a whirlwind, a tornado, or a storm, its power was not something that a human could resist. Not to mention, a cultivator was using wind elemental mana. Beside Nye Wufeng, three small whirlwinds suddenly appeared out of thin air and blocked the magic weapons of the three core formation stage cultivators. Then, the three whirlwinds began to revolve around Nye Wufeng in a clockwise direction. This caused the three people outside to frown. The whirlwinds were filled with wind elemental blades. Although their power was average, their magic weapons were unable to penetrate them. If they approached, they would be blown to the side by the wind. The small whirlwinds spun faster and faster. Gradually, the three of them felt the power of their divine sense explode from the center of the whirlwinds. Then, the three small whirlwinds quickly fused together and turned into a huge tornado that was hundreds of feet tall. Even the clouds in the sky were blown away by the wind. Nye Wufeng and Lu Kuan were in the eye of the tornado. When the tornado appeared, a powerful suction force pulled the three people from the miraculous gate. The three of them flashed with spiritual light and relied on their powerful magic shields to resist the suction force. At the same time, they did their best to retreat. This whirlwind scattered cloud spell was created by me. It is not inferior to any high-grade spell. Fellow Taoist Li, have a taste of its power. Following Nye Wufeng's voice, the tornado sped up and swept towards Li Wan. Its speed was not inferior to that of a core formation cultivator. Li Wan didn't dare to approach the tornado. Her divine sense was very clear. There were thousands of wind blades in the tornado. As long as she was sucked in, no matter how powerful her magic shield was, it would still be broken by the overwhelming wind blades. The female cultivator clenched her teeth and put her golden blade magic weapon on her body. With the power of the magic weapon, she released a bright light and distanced herself from the terrifying tornado that was like a meat grinder. On the other side, Old Man Song and Fairy Ling didn't dare to approach the tornado. However, what happened next left them dumbfounded. They saw the wind blades in the tornado disappear and turn into wind elemental energy that gathered towards the center. A rather bloated green light appeared in the center and shot into the distance. In the blink of an eye, it disappeared from everyone's sight. Its speed was unimaginable. Fairy Ling looked at Niao Wufeng's disappearing figure with a complicated expression in her eyes. Old Man Song sighed and said, "It seems that we need a nascent soul martial uncle to deal with this Niao Wufeng. Otherwise, when we attacked the Yang clan, this tornado was enough to kill more than half of the Foundation establishment cultivators in our sect. However, this person knows about our miraculous gate plan. After returning, he will definitely make preparations. Perhaps he will transfer the sect's many years of savings in advance." Li Weiner frowned and said, "After I succeeded, I already used a special magic tool to inform Senior Marshal Brother Liu. I think the large group of people must have already set off. We will wait on the way. Even if Niao Wufeng notifies us in time, our speed won't be slow." Chapter 221. Niao Wufeng's body flashed with a dark green light as he carried Lu Kuan away. After this old man flew for 100 miles at this terrifying speed, the dark green light dimmed, revealing a pale complexion. At the same time, his speed slowed down a lot. Seeing this, Lu Kuan was somewhat worried and asked, "Martial Uncle Nia, are you all right? Are you injured?" Niao Wufeng shook his head and used his spiritual sense to explore behind him. He let out a sigh of relief and said, "That spell just now used up most of my FA. In the end, I had to completely compress my wind attribute spiritual energy to explode with such a terrifying escape technique." Fortunately, they didn't catch up. Niao Wufeng glanced at Lu Kuan and frowned. "Lu Kuan, I don't know why your FA was swallowed by the spirit-devouring technique. There must be a story behind it. As someone who has been through this, what I want to tell you is that only when your cultivation level increases and your strength becomes stronger will you be able to know what you want to know." Seeing Lu Kuan's thoughtful expression, Niao Wufeng asked again, "Lu Kuan, your technique is special. Even after I reach the core formation stage, I still can't easily see the strength of your FA. However, I can clearly feel that your aura has decreased by more than half compared to before." Hearing this, Lu Kuan's expression dimmed, and he said, "Martial Uncle Nia, you know my technique. It doesn't matter if my FA is lost. I can cultivate it back at any time. The body refining technique focuses on the physical body. However, I didn't expect this spirit-devouring technique to be so tyrannical. It can actually absorb the essence of the physical body. Right now, the strength of my physical body has already dropped to the level of the Qi condensation stage. I can feel that I'm around the 11th layer of the Qi condensation stage." Then, Lu Kuan revealed a somewhat determined expression and said, "Martial Uncle Nia, you don't have to worry. I, Lu Kuan, am not the kind of person to give up. Besides, Martial Uncle Nia didn't have a spirit-controlling artifact back then and was able to successfully cultivate and reach the core formation stage. As for me, thanks to Martial Uncle Nia, I have a spirit-controlling dermic artifact. I believe I could do the same." Lu Kuan thought of the Shangqing Imperial Lightning technique that he had researched a few days ago and whispered somewhat mysteriously, "And this time, being crippled in my cultivation is not a very bad thing for me. As for that woman, when I become stronger in the future, I'll definitely get to the bottom of it." Niao Wufeng saw that Lu Kuan didn't seem dispirited at all. What surprised him was that after he was hurt by Ling Yutong, he had been depressed for a period of time. Lu Kuan was much better than he was back then. Then, Niao Wufeng thought of something and a smile appeared on the corner of his mouth. He said, "Martial Nephew Liu, although this energy-devouring technique is incomparably overbearing and absorbs a large amount of essence, this technique has a beneficial effect on the victim. I don't think even the creator of this technique knows about this." Lu Kuan slapped his head and thought of the rumors about Martial Uncle Nia in the sect. He couldn't help but ask, "Could it be?" Niao Wufeng nodded his head and said, "A lot of people were very curious as to why my mana became so pure after I recultivated. They all thought that it was because my technique was special, but they didn't know that it was because of the origin-devouring spell." Niao Wufeng thought of the scene back then and said, This origin-devouring spell absorbed your mana and also absorbed all the impurities in your mana. When I realized this, I didn't use the power of the pill anymore. The speed of recultivation was much faster than back then. In the end, I reached the great circle of foundation establishment in time. In the end, before I formed my Aura's core, after I put on the spirit-controlling dermic artifact, all the mana in my body started to crystallize. You probably don't know what this means. This self-crystallization is one of the prerequisites for the ancient Aura's core formation technique. Unfortunately, I don't know the complete ancient Aura's core formation technique. Otherwise, if I used this method to form my Aura's core, my power would be even greater. Lu Kuan murmured, the ancient Aura's core formation technique. He had heard of this ancient Aura's core formation technique before. It was the same as the ancient Aura's core formation technique. Although the prerequisites for breaking through were extremely harsh, after success, not only would one's power far surpass those of the same level, but the chances of breaking through to the next level would also increase by a lot. Niao Wufeng shook his head and said with a serious expression, "Let's not talk about this anymore. Our Yang clan is very dangerous. Let's hurry back and make preparations." Then Niao Wufeng gathered his remaining mana and accelerated in the direction of the Yang clan. In the Yang clan's Blue Sun Peak, Luo Yuichi stood on top of a rock on the top floor. He held a broken token in his hand, and the corner of his mouth revealed a somewhat playful smile. He turned around and glanced at the cave residence of another core formation cultivator. Then, he flew down the Blue Sun Peak and began to patrol around the Yang clan's forbidden formation. Not long after, Luo Yuichi flew to a node of the Yang clan's forbidden formation. It just so happened that there was a group of patrolling cultivators here. So it was Martial Uncle Luo. May I know what business Martial Uncle has here? The leader of the group was a mid-foundation establishment cultivator from the Blue Sun Peak. When he saw the Luo clan's ancestor, he revealed a respectful expression and cautiously asked, "Something has happened in the sect. The other senior martial brothers are all recuperating from their injuries. I need to inspect all the nodes of the sect's forbidden formation. You all can withdraw first." When the mid-foundation establishment cultivator saw this, he nodded without the slightest expression and was about to withdraw with the chi condensation disciples behind him. "Wait a moment. Give me the forbidden formation plate in your hand," Luo Yuichi said with a grave expression. The disciple only hesitated for a moment before handing over the plate. In the Yang clan, the authority of a core formation cultivator wasn't something a mid-foundation establishment disciple like him could offend. Luo Yuichi waved his hand and took the plate into his hand. Soon after, he waved his hand and dismissed the group of patrolling cultivators. After waiting for a moment, he used his spiritual sense to sense the nearby wind and grass. Light flickered in his hand, and he activated the Yang clan's forbidden formation plate. Not long after, a small spell formation appeared on the ground not far from him. Within it was a white disc covered in talisman characters of various colors. Luo Yuichi took out the white disc and then took out a light black disc that looked very similar. The two of them exchanged a few times. Then, the Luo clan's ancestor continued to exchange the white discs at the nodes of the Yang clan's forbidden formation. Finally, he found the patrolling cultivators and returned the forbidden formation plate to the Blue Sun Peak disciple. Then, he quickly flew towards the Blue Sun Peak. After the battle, most of the cultivators of the Yang clan were resting in their cave residences. Even the patrolling Foundation establishment cultivators revealed a rather tired expression. On the other hand, the chi condensation cultivators of the Yang clan weren't affected. In the center of the Yang clan's scripture pavilion, there was a rather obscure underground cave. There was a huge spell formation inside. Next to the spell formation stood a handsome man. It was Sun Haowen, Rellingen's disciple from the Tool Refining Peak. At Sun Haowen's feet was a young cultivator. His entire body was charred black, and he was lying on ground. It was unknown whether he was dead or alive. The sect is short on manpower. They only sent an early Foundation establishment cultivator to this place. It's convenient for me to act. Soon after, Sun Haowen found a sparkling white square token in the storage pouch of the cultivator on the ground. Then, he walked into the huge spell formation and muttered an incantation. Then, Sun Haowen disappeared without a trace, as if he had never appeared. It turned out that this place was a large-scale teleportation formation. Chapter 222. On this day, the sky was clear and there were no clouds in the sky. In the depths of the Yuyang mountain range, there were 5 mountain peaks quietly sitting there. The Yuyang sect seemed quite deserted. There were only a few Qi refining stage disciples in the vicinity. At the foot of the weapon refining peak, there was a huge, lush tree. Under the tree, there were 3 young men and women sitting on a boulder the size of a millstone. One of the young men, with a slightly fierce face, was nervously saying something. From time to time, he would gesticulate. In front of him was a handsome young man with a dull expression. Next to the handsome young man was a beautiful woman who emitted a cold aura. The fierce young man spoke for a long time. Seeing the reaction of the 2 people in front of him, he knew that they didn't listen to him. He revealed an anxious expression and said anxiously, "Senior Marshal brother, Senior Marshal sister, what's wrong? I'm talking about something big. The Luo clan colluded with the miraculous gate and plotted against our Yeyang clan. In the past year, I used my identity as a disciple of the weapon refining peak to investigate. Back then, my father knew of this secret and wanted to report it to the higher-ups of the clan. That was why he was killed by the cultivators of the miraculous gate." The more the young man spoke, the more agitated he became. His face gradually changed, revealing a delicate and handsome face. It turned out that he was Luo Xuanyu, who changed his name to Yuxian. Yuxian saw that the man and woman in front of him were a little strange. He quickly continued, "In the past half a year, you have all been fighting outside. Many of the Qi condensation disciples of the Luo clan went to the market to help. In the end, none of them returned to the clan. Right now, I'm afraid that other than the Luo clan's ancestor, there are no other people of the Luo clan in our clan." Finally, the gloomy young man in front of him raised his head and said in a low voice, "Junior Marshal brother, I completely believe what you said. Just now, Shui told me a terrible thing. I knew that our clan was in trouble." The handsome young man was Zhao Qingtian, and the woman beside him was Sher Chao. Hearing Zhao Qingtian's words, Yuxian recalled that this lively senior martial brother of hers had originally been fine, but after Shui had come over and said a few words to him, he had become like this. She couldn't help but think of Li Weiner, and couldn't help but ask, "Senior Marshal Sister Zhao, where's Senior Marshal Sister Li? Why didn't he come?" Hearing Yu Xian mention this name, Sher Chao's black eyes flashed with hatred, while Zhao Qingtian's expression was incomparably complicated. Could it be that something happened to Senior Sister Li? "But Senior Brother, didn't Master come back with you? Why don't I see him? I think we should tell this news to Master." Master is the second senior brother of the weapon refining peak. He can directly tell this to the elders of the core formation stage. Zhao Qingtian shook his head, and just as he was about to reply, a dazzling light flashed across the sky. In the distant horizon, a dazzling yellow light appeared. After a few flashes, it appeared in front of the Yuyang sect. The yellow light exuded a powerful aura. Not only Zhao Qingtian and the others, but many of the Qi condensation disciples outside the mountain also sensed this aura. This aura enveloped almost half of the sect's range. When the yellow light dissipated, the figure inside was revealed. It turned out to be an old man with white hair and a ruddy complexion. If one were to look closely, they would discover that there wasn't a trace of blood on his face. The old man took out a magic tool and lightly tapped it twice. He chanted a few incantations, and a gap opened in the restriction formation. Soon after, the old man shot towards the central mountain of the Yang clan. Could it be that this senior is our sect's nascent soul stage ancestor? Yuxian couldn't help but mutter. I heard that only the sect's nascent soul stage ancestor, who has the highest cultivation, can open the sect's restriction formation. In the sky above the Yang clan, Su Tianchuan of the Rising Sun Peak was heading towards the yellow light. He had been waiting for the arrival of the old man in the sect. He had already seen the old man flying towards him from afar. Soon after, two figures floated in the sky. Su Tianchuan respectfully said, "Martial Uncle Fong, you've finally returned. We have something important to report to you." So this old man was the Yang clan's nascent soul stage ancestor, Ancestor Fong. Ancestor Fong said with a hoarse voice, "Martial Nephew Su, wait for a moment. The other core formation stage Martial Nephews must have sensed the aura I just released. In a moment, bring them to my Heaven's Link Peak Immortal's Cave. Our sect is currently in a life and death situation." "What?" Su Tianchuan turned pale with fright. He raised his head and looked at Ancestor Fong. "Ancestor, you're injured?" Su Tianchuan was, after all, a core formation stage middle stage cultivator. Upon closer inspection, he discovered that the old man was heavily injured and his aura was extremely weak. The old man waved his hand and said, "Go tell them to wait outside my Immortal's Cave for a moment. I'll meditate inside the Immortal's Cave and adjust my aura." "Yes." Then Ancestor Fong retracted his aura and flew towards the Heaven's Link Peak in the middle. Su Tianchuan didn't dare to disobey the old man's orders. With a worried expression, he waited at the same spot. Not long after, the other core formation stage cultivators appeared beside Su Tianchuan. Zhang Xingyu of the Weapon Refining Peak rushed to ask, "Old Ghost Su, if I didn't sense wrongly, Martial Uncle Fong should have returned." Su Tianchuan nodded and frowned. He said, "Yes, he's back. However, he seems to be injured. Also, he just told me that he wanted to discuss the survival of our Yang clan with us." "What? Could it be related to Martial Sister Wang's death?" Su Tianchuan suddenly exclaimed. He discovered that other than him, there were only Zhang Xingyu and Zhu Siming of the Weapon Refining Peak and Luo Yuechi of the Blue Sun Peak. He said, "Lu Shitty of the Blue Sun Peak didn't come. He's probably still in seclusion. Junior Martial Brother Luo, tell Lu Shitty to come out of seclusion. We'll meet in front of the Ancestors' Immortal's Cave at the Heaven's Link Peak." Luo Yuechi's expression remained the same. He nodded silently and flew towards the Blue Sun Peak. About an hour after these people entered the Heaven's Link Peak, a green light appeared outside the Yang clan. Two figures appeared. They were Nie Wufeng and Lu Kuan, who had rushed back. Nie Wufeng quickly took out a sound transmission talisman and threw it in. Not long after, the restriction on the door opened. Then, as soon as he entered the Yang clan, he felt a faint divine sense probing him. Lu Kuan saw Nie Wufeng stop. His expression became more and more serious. Then, he heard this martial uncle say, "Lu Shizhi, the ancestor has returned. I'll go to the Heaven's Link Peak immediately. However, after you return to the Weapon Refining Peak, find Qin Yushu and Gu Tianjian immediately. Tell them that our sect is about to be destroyed. Gu Tianjian will naturally know how to deal with it." Lu Kuan nodded. After watching Nie Wufeng fly towards the central peak, he summoned a flying Dharma artifact and flew towards the Weapon Refining Peak. Not long after, Lu Kuan arrived at the foot of the Weapon Refining Peak. He happened to see a few figures discussing at the foot of the mountain. They were his disciples. Lu Kuan landed. Zhao Qingtian and the other two also noticed Lu Kuan. He said with a serious expression, "In a while, quickly take all the things in the Immortal's Cave. Then, quickly come to my Immortal's Cave." Chapter 223. When Zhao Qingtian and the others saw how serious Lu Kuan was and how hurried he was, they knew that what Yuxian said was very likely true. Sher Chao didn't say a word and immediately flew towards Jade Sun Peak on her magic tool. Her main goal now was to take revenge. If there was a clan extermination disaster, then the people who would attack would definitely be on the same side as Li Weiner. With her current strength, it was impossible for her to take revenge. She had to survive. She had to wait until her cultivation level increased. then she would personally seek revenge on this evil person who had killed her master. Lu Kuan's expression just now meant that the sect had made some arrangements, so Sher Chao didn't hesitate to listen to Lu Kuan's arrangements. Zhao Qingtian looked at his sister, whose temperament had changed greatly, and revealed a pained expression. He muttered, "Li Weiner, I didn't expect your acting skills to be so high. Even I, Zhao Qingtian, was fooled by you for so many years. No wonder you were so harsh to me. I'm not satisfied. I also want to live. I will work hard in my cultivation and confront you face to face." Then, Zhao Qingtian revealed a determined expression and flew towards his sun peak on his magic tool. The last person left was Yu Xian. Looking at the backs of the two people and recalling what Zhao Qingtian had told her, her expression was a little gloomy. "I didn't expect Li Weiner to hide in the Yang clan for so many years and even kill Martial Uncle Wang. Shui must be very sad. Looking at her eyes just now, she must want to take revenge for Martial Uncle Wang in the future." Thinking of this, Yu Xian said seriously, "I must increase my cultivation speed and break through to the foundation establishment stage with the help of body refinement. In the future, I must take revenge for Schwerer." After saying this, the youth changed his appearance and walked towards the second floor of Weapon Refining Peak with unwavering steps. What Li Wen didn't know was that although she had successfully completed the mission of the Devil Spirit sect, these three low-level cultivators, whom she had looked down on, had become her future enemies because of this matter. Lu Kuan also didn't know that his three disciples' thirst for power had reached an extremely high level. At this moment, he was standing on the fourth floor of the Weapon Refining Peak in the Sunset Pavilion. With a serious expression, he told them what Nie Wufeng had guessed. The person listening to him was Gu Tianjian, who had already reached the late stage of foundation establishment. This top-notch master craftsman was frowning, but there wasn't much panic on his face. On the other hand, Qin Yushu was different. This young peak lord had lost his gentle and refined demeanor. Instead, he was dumbstruck as he listened to Lu Kuan's narration. He thought of Zhuo Qingya, who had just become his Dao companion, and his expression kept changing. After listening to Lu Kuan's narration, Gu Tianjian muttered, "For what you've said, Martial Ancestor Fong also knows. It seems that Ancestor Fong wants me to prepare that item." Lu Kuan's face suddenly became pale. He pointed in the direction of the Sunset Pavilion and cried out in alarm, "Senior Martial Brothers, look! Isn't that the Devil Cloud Boat of the Miraculous Gate?" Martial Uncle Nie and I rushed back to the sect to report. How did the army of the Miraculous Gate arrive so quickly? Qin Yushu and Gu Tianjian lowered their heads and didn't say anything. When they heard Lu Kuan's exclamation, they raised their heads and looked outside. They saw 8 devil cloud boats appear outside the Yang clan's sect. On each black boat, there were at least 30 figures. In this kind of sect war, it was impossible to send Qi condensation disciples, so there could only be foundation establishment cultivators on board. Qin Yushu said in disbelief, "How can a miraculous gate have so many foundation establishment cultivators? Even if my Yang clan was at its peak, we wouldn't be a match for them." Gu Tianjian looked at the flying boats outside and revealed a thoughtful expression. He whispered doubtfully, "My crafting peak only sold 4 devil cloud boats to the miraculous gate in the past 100 years. Could the other 4 be replicas of the miraculous gates, master craftsmen? If they were replicas, then some of their functions would definitely be missing. As for the 4 I designed, they were also, not to mention Lu Kuan and the other surprise. Many of Yu Yang sect's disciples saw the army of the demon spirit sect. They felt a chilling aura, and all of them panicked. However, at this time, a gentle and old voice spread throughout the entire sect. "Disciples of the Yang clan, don't panic. Our sect's forbidden formation is extraordinary. The enemy won't be able to break in for a while. Our sect has left behind a teleportation formation. Disciples of each peak, return to your cave residence and pack up your things. Enter the teleportation formation one by one." It's the ancestor's voice. The ancestor said there was a teleportation formation. I almost forgot. This is a large-scale teleportation formation that can teleport people thousands of miles away. I haven't recovered from my injuries from the battle. I'm definitely not a match for the disciples of the Miraculous Gate. This way, I can save my life. All the cultivators of the Yang clan who heard this voice rushed to their cave residence and put everything they could carry into their storage pouches. At the same time, a middle-aged cultivator flew out of the leading devil cloud boat outside the Yang clan. He slowly flew towards the light screen of the demon spirit sect's forbidden formation. When Ancestor Fong saw this, his expression changed, and he quickly flew out. The nascent soul stage's escape technique was extremely fast. In a short while, Ancestor Fong arrived at the edge of the forbidden formation. The two of them looked at each other through the light screen. The middle-aged cultivator smiled and said, "Fellow Taoist Fong, I trust you've been well since we last met. I didn't expect you to still be so lively after being hit by my spirit-extinguishing hand. However, our miraculous gate has been preparing for many years. Even if you recover your strength, the Yang clan won't be able to escape this time." When Ancestor Fong of the Yang clan saw this middle-aged cultivator, his expression darkened, and he said, "Old devil, sure, you're really good. Not only did you quietly kill 2 of our core formation stage cultivators, but you also almost seriously injured them. Our Yang clan would rather give up this sect and escape overseas than let your miraculous gate obtain anything. I don't believe you'll dare to chase us to a place like overseas." This middle-aged cultivator was the Grand Elder of the Miraculous Gate. He was at the peak of the nascent soul stage. His demonic arts were incomparably exquisite, and he was known as Old Devil Sure. It could be said that he was the strongest cultivator of the 6 sects. Old Devil Sure laughed and said, "Overseas? Fellow Taoist Fong, do you really think that our sect has no way to deal with you?" This white-haired old man thought of something and used his spiritual sense to explore the center of the Yang clan. His expression was ugly as he stared at his opponent outside. Ancestor Fong sneered and said, "Old Devil Sure, don't think that you've already won. Even though I'm the only nascent soul stage cultivator in our sect, we still have the heritage of a sect that has been around for thousands of years. You want to eat our Yang clan? Be careful not to break your teeth." He slapped his storage pouch, and 2 figures immediately appeared beside him. These 2 figures looked indifferent and expressionless. There was a faint white light circulating around their skin. Ancestor Fong muttered something, and then the 2 figures emitted waves of mana that were no weaker than those in the early nascent soul stage. Old Devil Sure was shocked at first, and then he revealed a look of ecstasy. He said, "I didn't think that the Yang clan really has the ancient puppet technique. They even have 2 nascent soul stage cultivators. Haha, this is a great harvest." Then Old Devil Sure took out a black plate. His expression was strange as he quickly activated his mana, and the plate shone brightly. Then the entire Yang clan's forbidden array seemed to have received some kind of order, and a faint black gas appeared on it. In a short while, the entire Yang clan was enveloped in this black forbidden array. Ancestor Fong immediately used his spiritual sense to sense it, and his expression changed greatly. Chapter 2:24. Ancestor Fong's heart gradually sank when he saw that the other party had already arranged so many backup plans. Then he thought of one of his previous arrangements. His heart moved, but his face showed a bit of despair. He gritted his teeth and said, "Why? My Yang clan and your miraculous gate have been living in peace for so many years. Why do you want to destroy my Yang clan?" Seeing the expression of the Yang clan's nascent soul stage cultivator, Old Devil Sure of the Miraculous Gate was relieved. He felt that they had no way out. He said with a smile, "In fact, our 2 sects have no conflict. But hundreds of years ago, my Miraculous Gate had several junior brothers who successfully entered the nascent soul stage." At this time, Ancestor Fong's divine sense probed the several devil cloud boats behind Old Devil Goo. He found that there were still 3 auras of early nascent soul stage cultivators. Feeling the other party's divine sense probing, old Devil sure smiled and said, "Not only that, there are many talented disciples in the sect. They all have some possibility of entering the nascent soul stage." Old Devil sure recalled. Before the last great elder of the miraculous gate passed away, he told me that if you want to reach the late nascent soul stage, it's useless to rely on hard work. In addition to certain opportunities, you also need a lot of resources. Our sect's territory is too small and insufficient resources. Even if there are many nascent soul stage cultivators in the sect, there will be internal conflicts because of the lack of resources and spiritual chi. Therefore, several hundred years ago, the previous generation's great elder formulated a series of plans. The goal was to expand the sect's territory and obtain more resources. Otherwise, even if we have more nascent soul stage cultivators, the sect won't develop into a large sect like the blood refining sect or the Shangqing sect. Instead, it will lead to division. As Ancestor Fong listened, he narrowed his eyes. While old Devil sure wasn't paying attention, he secretly made a gesture with his hands behind his back. A faint yellow light flashed and then disappeared. It was as if a message-transmitting talisman had been activated. Ancestor Fong calmly did this and said, "So, Shangqing Gate is also part of your plan?" Old Devil Gu showed a bit of pride and said, "Yes, Shangqing Gate occupies too much territory. The other sects have long complained. If our miraculous gate wants to expand, Shangqing Gate will be the first to be on guard." Back then, they directly destroyed two major sections. It was the negligence of their opponents at that time. Moreover, Shangqing School's strength completely crushed the other sects at that time. In the end, they coincidentally became such a large sect. But if my miraculous gate had attacked the Yang clan from the beginning, we would have been destroyed by your joint forces, especially the Shangqing sect, who could even blatantly occupy the resources of Luzhou. That's why I spent more than 100 years negotiating with the blood-refining clan of the state of Qi, which was connected to the Central Plains. I used a whole elaborate plan to convince old Devil Pang. The price I paid was, in addition to a quarter of the territory near the state of Qi in the Central Plains, half of the Yang clan's accumulation. As for the other sects in the state of Wei, they're now in a hurry to take over the territory in the Central Plains. How could they care about Luzhou? And in the next few hundred years, our miraculous gate will form an alliance with the blood-refining clan. Even if the other four sects want it, they won't dare to act rashly. Just as old Devil Gu and Ancestor Fong were talking, a handsome old man suddenly appeared on the fourth floor of the weapon-refining peak. It was Niao Wufeng. With a few flashes, he arrived in front of Gu Tianjin's silver pavilion. At that moment, Gu Tianjin, Qin Yushu, and Lu Kuan were all busy near the pavilion. They seemed to be working together to remove some array. Gu Tianjin immediately noticed Niao Wufeng. He cupped his fists and asked, "Senior brother Nia, is there an instruction from the patriarch?" Gu Tianjin and Niao Wufeng had an extraordinary relationship. Even though Niao Wufeng had advanced to the core formation stage, the two of them still addressed each other as senior and junior brothers. Niao Wufeng said in a deep voice, "The situation has changed. Our restriction array is controlled by the enemy, and the teleportation array is malfunctioning. We can only rely on the silver dragon flying boat to change its form and escape through this restriction array." Gu Tianjin's expression changed. He said in shock, "The teleportation array is gone? I thought it was the patriarchs doing that the restriction array became like this." But even if the silver dragon flying boat changed its form, it still wouldn't be able to pass through this level of restriction array. Niao Wufeng said again, "I'm the fastest. The restriction array inside the sect must have been tampered with. I've destroyed a few nodes, so its power should have decreased. The internal defense shouldn't be that strong." Gu Tianjin's expression turned ugly. He said, "But the silver dragon flying boat can only fit 20 people in its current form." Niao Wufeng's expression turned gloomy. He said, "There's nothing we can do now. Senior brother, Su will bring some disciples with potential over. We'll look for an opportunity to escape. As long as there are some disciples with potential, we'll have a chance to take revenge in the future. Senior Uncle Fong has the help of the psychic puppet. He can at least hold back the nascent soul cultivators. As for the core formation cultivators, leave them to us. You guys should escape as soon as possible. After all, the most precious things of the Yang clan are the things from the crafting peak. Qin Yushu looked at Niao Wufeng worriedly. He said, Master, what about you? The enemy has so many foundation establishment cultivators. They definitely have a lot of core formation cultivators. If you go, it'll be extremely dangerous. Niao Wufeng shook his head. There's no time to be wishy-washy. I have to make some preparations. The enemy has foundation establishment cultivators. I'll kill as many as I can. Then, this powerful old man flew towards the gate of the sect. At the same time, Zhao Qingtian and the others also walked over. Outside the Yang clan, Old Devil Shi's expression became more and more fanatical. The next few hundred years will be the time for the miraculous gate to develop vigorously. Moreover, I'll have the opportunity to break through this bottleneck and reach the late nascent soul stage. There's even a chance for me to reach the legendary soul formation stage. Old Devil Shi revealed a bloodthirsty expression. He looked at the old man in front of him and said, Fellow Taoist Fong, I've said so much to you. I'm sure you can die in peace. Then, Old Devil Shi waved his hand, and 3 nascent soul cultivators flew out from behind him. They stood side by side with him. Then, the black formation plate in Old Devil Shi's hand shone brightly. This forbidden formation shield, which was dyed light black, opened up a gap at the entrance of the sect. The demonic cloud boats outside fought to fly in. The disciples of the miraculous gate were extremely excited. They each flew towards the Yang clan on their magic tools. One must know that in the previous battle at the Shangqing sect, many disciples couldn't participate in it. They were jealous of the gains of other disciples. The Yang clan had been refining magic tools for other sects for so many years. They must be filthy rich. Chapter 225. As for Old Devil Shi and the 3 miraculous gate cultivators, they directly faced the Yang clan's ancestor Fong and the 2 early nascent soul stage puppets. Not long after, great ancestor Fong was completely suppressed by them, and he was even forced high into the sky. At the same time, all the core formation cultivators on the flying boats flew out and scattered in the air above the Yang clan. There were a total of 15 core formation cultivators. It could be said that all the members of the miraculous gate had come out. Soon, they split into 5 groups and flew to the peaks of the mountains. However, even with 3 people together, many of them were still quite nervous. They had heard of Niao Wufeng's power. If they acted alone and were ambushed, it would be quite dangerous. However, if Niao Wufeng attacked their miraculous gate foundation establishment disciples, the 3 strongest late core formation cultivators would immediately target Niao Wufeng. When the miraculous gate's restriction formation was opened, Su Tianchuan and Luo Yueqi were sitting on a flying boat not far from the weapon refining mountain. There were 10 men and women behind them as they flew towards the weapon refining mountain. Luo Yueqi's expression changed, and he suddenly said, Senior Marshal Brother Su, the people from the miraculous gate are coming in. We have to speed up. Su Tianchuan couldn't help but look out and see a few devil cloud boats flying in. His expression was shocked. But right at this moment, a long saber magic weapon struck Su Tianchuan's chest, knocking this middle stage core formation stage old man out of the airship and onto the ground below. Then, the Luo family ancestor's hand flashed with spirit light, and he had a cold expression. The long sword magic treasure crossed back and forth and killed all the surprised low-level disciples behind him. Then he flew towards the Yang clan's entrance without looking back. Just as Su Tianchuan was about to land on the ground, the magic power in his body surged, and he staggered to the ground, spitting out a mouthful of blood. His chest had caved in, revealing a golden armor inside. Su Tianchuan said with difficulty, I didn't expect Luo Yueqi to be a traitor. If it weren't for this golden scale armor, I might have followed in Junior Sister Wang's footsteps. Bam! Bam! Soon after, the 10 talented young disciples on the flying boat all fell to the ground, no longer breathing. No, there's still a few disciples from the crafting peak. With them around, there's still a sliver of hope. I need to buy time. After muttering to himself, Su Tianchuan patted the spirit beast pouch on his waist, and 2 silver-spotted leopards appeared in front of him, one big and one small. The big leopard's aura was relatively weak, and its expression was dispirited as it looked at Su Tianchuan worriedly. On the other hand, Junior Leopard was infuriated and wanted to rush towards Luo Yuechi, but was held down by the big leopard. Then the big leopard's claws flashed with a golden light, and Little Gray, a small silver-spotted leopard that had just reached level 2, fainted. Su Tianchuan saw Junior Leopard's temper and couldn't do anything about it. He said, "Xiao Jin, please take Little Gray to the crafting peak and escape with your master. This little guy has unlimited potential, and I don't want it to participate in a battle of life and death in the core formation stage." Just as Su Tianchuan finished speaking, a little yellow monkey appeared from the bushes. It looked at Su Tianchuan worriedly and squeaked. Su Tianchuan was a core formation intermediate stage cultivator, and he knew a lot about demonic beasts. 2 days ago, after returning, he happened to know about Xiao Jin's magical hearing ability. Just now, his divine sense discovered that Xiao Jin was nearby, so he asked Xiao Jin to come out. The little monkey hesitated, and its ears trembled. Its face was pale, but it nodded and picked up Little Gray. Yellow flames flashed under its feet, and it quickly ran towards the crafting peak. Su Tianchuan threw an elixir into his mouth and a sound-transmitting talisman. Then he patted the silver-spotted leopard and said, "Silver Spot, there will be a tough battle ahead. We have to do our best. Delay as long as you can. Right now, only a few talented disciples from the crafting peak have a chance to escape. Little Gray can only survive if it follows them. Qin Yushu and Lu Kuan have huge potential. As long as they and Gu Tianjian can escape, our Yang clan will have hope for revenge." Roar! The silver-spotted leopard saw 3 core formation stage cultivators from the miraculous gate flying towards it and let out a warning roar. Su Tianchuan's face was slightly flushed. A shocking aura was brewing in his body, and he flew towards them. The core formation stage cultivators felt this aura and looked at Su Tianchuan and the silver-spotted leopard with vigilance. Then a huge battle broke out. Su Tianchuan, with his injured body and the silver-spotted leopard, temporarily blocked the 3 core formation stage cultivators. After a short while, 3 foundation establishment stage cultivators from a miraculous gate arrived at the foot of the crafting peak. At this time, in front of them was a youth of about 14 or 15 years old, wearing a yellow robe. His face was angular, but when he saw the people from the miraculous gate, he panicked and hurriedly ran towards the crafting peak. The Yang clan is too weak. Along the way, there are only low-level disciples. There's even a Qi refinement stage cultivator here. He doesn't seem to be able to fly. He's actually running. The one who spoke was a foundation establishment stage cultivator from the miraculous gate. When he saw the youth, he threw out a ray of black light, wanting to kill the panicked youth. Boom! A yellow figure appeared in front of the youth. A fist that was burning with yellow flames blocked the attack. The miraculous gate cultivator looked over. It was a yellow ape that was as tall as a normal person. One of the ape's claws was holding a kitten-like spirit beast. Not good, it's Lu Kuan's spirit monkey. This miraculous gate cultivator had also fought on the Shangqing Gate battlefield for a period of time. He recognized Xiao Jin at a glance. Then, he thought of something and his expression changed drastically. He quickly retreated and at the same time summoned a defensive artifact and looked around vigilantly. When the 2 people beside him heard Lu Kuan's name, they also looked nervous. When a yellow ape saw their actions, the corner of its mouth twitched. The other ape easily lifted the frightened cultivator and ran towards the 4th level of the crafting peak. After a while, the 3 cultivators from the miraculous gate wiped off their cold sweat. One of them said, "Don't be in a hurry. Let's wait for a few more brothers and sisters before we go up. We've only met low-level cultivators along the way. I almost forgot that the two heroes of the crafting peak are not to be trifled with. Let's wait. If they use their saber array to ambush us from above, the three of us would be killed immediately. That's right. Why don't we let the other brothers and sisters lead the way? Hee hee. Lu Kuan and Qin Yushu did not know that the first few cultivators from the miraculous gate had arrived. They were afraid of their reputation and did not attack them for the time being. They, including the few disciples at the side, were all dumbfounded at the scene before them. This place was originally Gu Tianjian's silver pavilion. Suddenly, the entire silver pavilion was ignited with a white flame. With a whoosh, all the furniture in the pavilion was burned to ashes. The shiny silver frame of the pavilion was revealed. There was nothing else to cover it. Everyone could tell at a glance that this frame was in the shape of a silver flying boat. Gu Tianjian stood in the frame with a serious expression. He muttered something, and white spirit light emitted from his body, entering the silver frame. Crack! This frame that looked like a flying boat gradually shrank. All the silver frames reassembled to form a small flying boat with a compact structure. Then, with a flash of silver light, a layer of silver metal spread out from all the frames, sealing all the gaps. This silver flying boat was different from the ones Lu Kuan had seen before. It was actually sealed, as if two small boats were inverted. Then, a gap opened up on the flying vessel, revealing an entrance that was only big enough for one person to pass through. Gu Tianjian walked out from inside, frowning as he said, "There's no time now. The outstanding disciples of the other peaks have already been intercepted and killed halfway." Chapter 226. Lu Kuan suddenly said, "Xiao Jin is back." Soon after, a yellow ape with the height of a normal person appeared in front of everyone. It threw the two people in its hands directly into the silver flying boat in front of it. Its body shrunk, and the little monkey could be seen dancing and squeaking anxiously. Lu Kuan's expression changed, and he used his golden eye divine ability to look outside. Under careful observation, he discovered that there were dozens of miraculous gate disciples using concealment techniques flying towards them. They were very careful and only flew slowly on the ground. Further away, Su Tianchuan and the silver-spotted leopard were strenuously resisting three miraculous gate core formation cultivators. Lu Kuan could clearly see that more and more blood was flowing out from the corner of Su Tianchuan's mouth. The silver-spotted leopard was in an even more miserable state. One of its claws had been cut off, but this grade 5 demonic beast with a crazed expression didn't care about its injuries at all. It attacked its opponents and gave up on defending. "Lu Shidi, look over there." Yi Ziqian, who had been silent all this time, suddenly pointed at the central area of the Yang clan and said. After Lu Kuan heard this, he turned his head and his pupils suddenly shrank. He saw three core formation cultivators with calm expressions flying towards them at high speed. They didn't even bother to conceal their flight lights. Lu Kuan had seen all three of them before. Two of them were the late core formation cultivator undercover at the Shangqing sect, Song Li, and Li Wan, who had disguised herself as a low-level cultivator at the Yang clan for many years. As for the last one, Lu Kuan also knew that he was one of the leaders of the Miraculous Gates attack on the Shangqing sect. His name was Lu Liang, and his cultivation was at the peak of the late core formation stage. "Brother Gu, it's too late. Quickly board the Silver Dragon flying boat. There are three late core formation cultivators at the Miraculous Gate flying towards us. Their flight techniques are extremely fast." At this moment, Gu Tianjian also noticed and shouted, "Quickly get into the flying boat." The Silver Dragon flying boat's defensive power can barely withstand the attack of a core formation cultivator. We can hold on until Senior Marshal Brother Nye destroys the node. At this moment, a withered old man in a yellow robe suddenly appeared in front of them and said in a deep voice, "Tianjian, hurry up and leave. I'll hold them off." Gu Tianjian couldn't help but say, "Master, you don't have much lifespan left. You're up against 3 late core formation cultivators. It turned out that the old man was Ling Hu Yi from the crafting peak. He said, "My old bones don't have much time left to live. I might as well use my remaining energy to the fullest." Tianjin, whether or not our Yang clan's art of refining can be passed down depends on you. Lu Kuan and Qin Yushu have extraordinary potential, and Yi Zetian is proficient in the art of refining. His transcendence energy is also about to reach the Great Circle, and he has a chance of forming his gold core. Don't let your emotions affect your decisions. Survival is the most important thing. You may have a chance to take revenge in the future. I'm almost 500 years old now. These little guys probably haven't seen my life-bound magic weapon yet. I'll let them see it. While Ling Hu Yi was speaking, Lu Kuan and Qin Yushu, who both had powerful divine senses, sensed that the old man's life force was rapidly burning away. At the same time, an extremely sharp fluctuation appeared on his body. Lu Kuan looked at Ling Hu Yi's increasingly withered face and slapped his storage pouch. He took out a scarlet medicinal pill and tossed it to the old man. Ling Hu Yi's eyes lit up when he saw the medicinal pill. "I didn't think that you, Lu Kuan, would have a qi and blood pill. With this, I can hold on for a while longer." The withered old man swallowed the medicinal pill in one gulp. Then his face became slightly rosy and his body shined brightly. He summoned a magic weapon that shined with golden light and charged at the 3 late-stage core formation cultivators at the miraculous gate. At this moment, the 3 of them had already arrived in the sky above the 4th floor of the tool refining mountain. They didn't expect Ling Hu Yi, who was at the end of his lifespan, to be able to erupt with such power. They hastily began to fight with him. Li Weiner, Zhao Shui, was quick to recognize the beautiful young woman controlling the golden blades up in the sky. Her eyes instantly turned red. At the same time, Zhao Qingtian, who was beside her, stared intently at the female cultivator. It was unknown when Lu Kuan had appeared behind the Zhao siblings. He grabbed them one by one and threw them into the silver dragon flying ship. At the same time, he said to a fierce-looking young man, "Yu Xian, look after your senior brothers and sisters. Don't let them impulsively come out. Your body is stronger than theirs, so you can stop them." Yu Xian knew there was no time to waste. She nodded and flames flashed under her feet as she entered the flying boat. "Great, senior brother Nya has already destroyed the node. We can quickly break through the restriction and fly out." Gu Tianjin saw the faint black light screen disappear and revealed a joyful expression. However, when Lu Kuan saw the small layer of gray mist remaining on the light screen, he felt that someone had mentioned it to him before and frowned. However, he was soon pulled into the silver dragon flying boat by Qin Yushu and Yi Zetian. Gu Tianjin stood at the control panel and said, "Junior brothers, carefully observe the method of controlling the silver dragon flying boat. We will need to take turns controlling it." Then, a bright light shined from his hand, and the silver dragon flying boat flew into the air. The outer shell suddenly became transparent, and they could see the scene outside. Lu Kuan could clearly see the battle between the core formation cultivators in the air. Although Martial Uncle Ling Hu had burned his remaining life force, he was still at the early stage of the core formation realm. Even though his magic treasure was extremely powerful, he was still being beaten by 3 late-stage cultivators. It wouldn't be long before he was defeated or even killed. In addition, there was also the chaotic scene on the 3rd floor of the weapon refining mountain. Many Foundation establishment cultivators hadn't recovered from their injuries from the last battle at the Shangqing sect and were no match for the large number of enemies. Almost all of the Foundation establishment cultivators on the 3rd floor, including Fatty Zhu, were killed. Then, the miraculous gate disciples excitedly attacked the cave abodes on this floor. Many of the disciples who died in the battle at the Shangqing sect would have some treasures in their cave abodes. As for the battle between the nascent soul stage cultivators in the distance, Lu Kuan was unable to see clearly. However, he did not need to think to know how intense the battle was. All of this caused Lu Kuan's heart to be filled with pain. He unconsciously clenched his fists and thought of the miraculous gate's design and Shunming Yao's essence devouring spell. His eyes shined with hatred. Junior martial brother, pay attention. Lu Kuan's thoughts were pulled back by the calm Gu Tianjian. Looking at Gu Tianjian's red eyes, he knew that Gu Tianjian's heart was not calm. This is the Silver Dragon Flying Boat's acceleration spell. With my late-stage foundation establishment cultivation, this Silver Dragon Flying Boat can display an escape spell above the mid-stage of the core formation realm. Even a late-stage core formation cultivator wouldn't be able to catch up without a flying magic treasure. This is the Silver Dragon Flying Boat's shrunken form. In addition to its astonishing defensive power, it also has the power to break through formations. Next, I will use this spell to break through the formation's barrier. As he spoke, the Silver Dragon Flying Boat seemed to turn into a sharp silver light as it rushed out of the barrier. At the same time, a sharp silver steel spike appeared in front of the silver light. With a pop, a hole was poked in the protective barrier of the Grand Formation. Then, the small flying boat, which was about 10 meters long, shot toward the horizon. It was heading toward the Qing province in the southwest. However, Gu Tianjian, who was controlling the flying boat, didn't notice that when it passed through the barrier, a great energy entered the flying boat. The flying boat's powerful defense couldn't stop it at all. The three people fighting Ling Hu, he immediately noticed the strange flying boat. In addition to the last disciple of the Yang clan, there was definitely a large amount of the Yang clan's wealth inside the boat. The late-stage core formation, middle-aged man, named Lu Liang's expression turned cold. He erupted with an even more powerful pressure. His magic treasure shined brightly and sent Ling Hu Yi's magic treasure flying. He took the opportunity to chase after the silver flying boat, while Song Li and Li Wan stopped the old man, who was on the verge of death. The aura that Lu Liang revealed was at the peak stage of the core formation realm. It was unknown whether he had broken through during the battle at the Shangqing sect, or if he had been hiding his strength. The speed of the black light was much faster than the Silver Dragon Flying Boat. The hole pierced by the Silver Dragon Flying Boat was slowly healing and hadn't disappeared yet. Just as the black light was about to break through, a blue light collided with it. The blue light immediately dissipated, revealing an old man with a jade-like complexion. Chapter 227. Not long after Lu Kuan's Silver Dragon airship flew out. In the sky above the Yang clan's barrier, Ancestor Fong of the Yang clan clutched his chest with one hand. His face was pale, and the aura of magic power on his body flickered. He was already seriously injured. The several nascent soul cultivators of Miraculous Gate looked at the only nascent soul cultivator of the Yang clan in front of them with admiration. Even if there were 3 nascent soul cultivators, they would have already been defeated by the 4 of them. Old Devil Shi's attack slowed down, and he suddenly said, "Fellow Taoist Fong, if you agree to hand over the Yang clan's refining legacy, I can spare your life and allow you to retire peacefully in the Miraculous Gate." At this moment, the expressions of the several nascent soul cultivators changed. The faint black light on the barrier dissipated, and at the same time, the gap in the formation that was opened by Old Devil Shi's magic tool was suddenly closed. Old Devil Shi's expression did not change as he said thoughtfully, "To be able to destroy all the nodes so quickly, I reckon that only Niao Wufeng of your sect can do it." Then he revealed a disdainful smile. "But don't you think that Niao Wufeng can't destroy these nodes? All the cultivators of the Miraculous Gate have already entered. Even if this formation is weakened, it will be difficult for a normal late core formation cultivator to break through. Your Yang clan is also a turtle in a jar." Just as Old Devil Shi said this, a dazzling silver light appeared in the direction of the weapon refining peak of the Yuyang sect. With a whoosh sound, it quickly flew out and then passed through the forbidden formation. This scene stunned the nascent soul cultivators of the Miraculous Gate, especially Old Devil Shi. His face darkened, as if this silver airship was a slap to his face. Then he thought of something, and his expression changed greatly. The magic power in his body surged, and he was about to chase after the airship. "Ha, old devil, sure. I know that what you want is my sex-inherited refining technique, especially the rumored refining method of the sentient puppet. I won't let you have your way." Sentient puppets explode. Patriarch Fong laughed maniacally. Looking at the expressions on the faces of the people from the miraculous gate, he knew that they wanted to chase after them. Therefore, he stopped one of the sentient puppets. Old devil sure shone brightly. Old devil sure cursed in his heart. Lunatic! He quickly retreated. However, he found that the sentient puppet in front of him didn't change at all. It was as if the self-destruction just now was just a joke from Ancestor Fong. While they were still in a daze, Ancestor Fong took the opportunity to cast a spell. His spiritual energy was restored to its peak. Together with the two original leveled puppets, he once again blocked the path of the miraculous gate. Old Devonshire was just about to curse out loud when he saw this person's actions. "Old Geezer Fong, you're crazy. If you unleash the power of your nascent soul like this, you won't even have a chance to reincarnate." Nascent soul cultivators were basically very difficult to kill. The scariest ones were people like Ancestor Fong who didn't want to reincarnate. He could unleash a power that was one level higher. However, when Old Devonshire retreated, a black light shot out from his hand. This black light easily passed through the forbidden array and turned into a faintly discernible voice transmission talisman. It floated into the distance. After that, the battle between these people became even more intense. However, Ancestor Fong couldn't hold on for long after unleashing the potential of his nascent soul. He only did this to buy more time for the Silver Dragon flying ship. After a while, the other areas of the Yang clan were crushed by the people from the Miraculous Gate. There were only a few places with powerful restrictions that couldn't be broken through for the time being. The battle between the core formation cultivators soon came to an end. Other than Ye Wufeng and Zhu Siming, who were barely able to fight against the enemy, the other core formation cultivators were all defeated. Su Tianchuan and the silver-spotted leopard near the weapon refinement peak were already heavily injured and had yet to recover from their injuries. After a period of eruption, their injuries flared up and they were killed by the three core formation cultivators of the Devil Spirit sect. The corpse of the silver-spotted leopard was taken by the cultivators of the Devil Spirit sect as their spoils of war. After Su Tianchuan's storage pouch and golden scale armor were taken away, his corpse was burned to a crisp with demonic fire. On the weapon refining peak, Ling Hui's aura was getting weaker and weaker. Even with the blood chi pill, it was already a miracle that he could hold on for so long. In the end, when his chi and blood ran out, Songli seized the opportunity to kill him. Then, they put away the enemy's powerful magic weapon and flew towards Nye Wufeng's position. The Morning Sun Peak had no core formation cultivators guarding it. Although there were many Foundation Establishment cultivators, they didn't last long and were all killed by the Miraculous Gate. However, Zhu Xiaofeng, who took care of Zhao Qingtian, wasn't there. On the Jade Sun Peak, it was even more miserable. Many female disciples who couldn't resist were wantonly bullied by the Miraculous Gate cultivators. Some demonic arts had the effect of gathering yin to supplement yang. To these demonic cultivators, the Jade Sun Peak was a holy land. Therefore, other than the weapon refining peak, the Miraculous Gate cultivators had the most disciples here. On the peak of the Jade Sun Peak, Zhang Xingyu's corpse fell in a pool of blood. His chest was caved in, and his eyes were wide open as he stared straight ahead. He died with grievances. This old man is difficult to deal with. If it wasn't for the fact that he hadn't recovered from his injuries in the battle with the Shangqing sect, we wouldn't have killed him so quickly. Let's not care about him. I heard from Luo Yuechi that this is Wang Ruobing's cave residence. Her treasures are all in the cave residence, and no one has taken them. It seems that the Jade Sun Peak has the most to gain. Then, the three Miraculous Gate core formation cultivators began to break the cave residence's restrictions. The last place, the Jade Sun Peak, was the quietest. There were very few Miraculous Gate cultivators here. Luo Yuechi stood on the peak of the Jade Sun Peak and watched the scene of the Yang clan being slaughtered. His expression was indifferent and unmoved. He murmured, "The weak obeys the strong. This is a matter of course. Even if I didn't do what I did, the Yang clan and the rising miraculous gate in Lu province would sooner or later be swallowed up by it. After doing this, I can ensure that the Luo clan can develop smoothly in Lu province." Then, the Luo clan ancestor looked at the other cave residence behind him. That cave residence belonged to the other core formation cultivator of the Jade Sun Peak, Lu Feng. Everyone thought that Lu Feng was in closed-door cultivation in an attempt to break through to a higher realm. Who knew that this core formation cultivator had already been killed by Luo Yueqi's sneak attack? Luo Yueqi sighed. "I also paid a great price. In order to make the Yang clan believe in me, I ruthlessly sacrificed many Luo clan disciples with good cultivation during the battle with the Shangqing sect. Fortunately, the promise of a miraculous gate won't be small. This way, I still have a chance to enter the nascent soul stage. That will be the day when my Luo clan prospers." Then Luo Yueqi frowned. "It's a pity that Lu Xiao seems to be immersed in cultivation. He hasn't returned to the sect since the battle with the Shangqing sect. It seems that he has discovered something." Chapter 228. Senior Marshal Brother Nya. I didn't think it would be just the two of us left. The one who spoke was a kind-looking old man. It was Zhu Siming. At this moment, his face was filled with exhaustion, and he had used up more than half of his magic power. It was unknown when he had shifted the battlefield to Nye Wufeng. Under the cover of Nye Wufeng's whirlwind cloud spell, the two martial brothers had successfully reunited. Behind him, in Nye Wufeng, was the protective barrier of the formation. In front of them were two giant tornadoes made of wind blades, temporarily blocking the enemies. Nye Wufeng first sighed, then he thought of something, and a bit of excitement appeared on his originally pale face. He said, "Ha, a junior brother Zhu, I remember now. Didn't we deduce a strengthened version of the spell before?" Zhu Siming suddenly remembered. He looked overjoyed and said, "Is it the secret technique that strengthens the power of your magic with the help of my divine sense?" "That's right. Before, I didn't dare to fully activate my spiritual sense to cooperate with Senior Martial Brother. I was afraid that there would be some hidden dangers in my spiritual sense. Now that our lives are at stake, I don't have such concerns." Zhu Siming's face was filled with joy. He continued, "And when this spell is used, we might even be able to escape." The two of them looked at each other, then stood side by side. Nye Wufeng's hand flashed with spiritual light. The two tornadoes that were blocking the enemies in front of them soared into the sky at the same time. They turned around and protected the two of them, forming an even bigger tornado. The people at the miraculous gate in front of them also revealed themselves. Apart from the three late core formation stage cultivators, there were also the three early core formation stage cultivators who were chasing Zhu Siming. Their clothes were messy, but their auras were stable. Nye Wufeng's spell didn't hurt them. Song Li said in a deep voice, "Senior apprentice brother Lu, that was the wind spell that junior apprentice sister Li and I encountered just now. It was really powerful. In addition to the countless mid-level and high-level wind blades inside, there was also a strange wind force outside the tornado, which made our attacks miss. Nye Wufeng can also gather the wind attribute spiritual energy in this tornado to increase the speed of his escape technique." Lu Yang's face turned cold as he said coldly, "No matter how powerful this spell is, Nye Wufeng is only in the early stage of the completion core stage. He cannot maintain it for too long. This spell is powerful because there are so many wind blades inside. If you get sucked in, you'll be in great danger. In fact, the wind blades aren't that powerful. The gap in the forbidden formation that was destroyed by the strange flying boat has been repaired. Nye Wufeng can't launch an attack above the late core formation stage. It will be very difficult for him to break the barrier and escape quickly. We only need to use our magic treasures to attack with all our might. Regardless of whether the attack hits or not, it will definitely consume the spell's energy. Moreover, there will be more junior brothers coming soon. At that time, These two won't be able to escape. Just as the people of the miraculous gate were conversing, the spell in front of them underwent many changes. Zhu, Siming, and Niao Wufeng, who were in the middle of the tornado, began to mutter incantations. Their faces twitched a few times as if they were in pain. However, the frequency of the two's spiritual energy waves gradually converged to one. Outside, Lu Yang's face changed. He felt a powerful spiritual energy that was not inferior to the late stage of the completion course stage. Moreover, this spiritual energy was abnormally condensed. It was like a person's spiritual energy. Its overall strength was even greater than his. Speaking of which, Niao Wufeng and Zhu Siming's move was based on Lu Kuan's improved spirit sensing art. It was a method of utilizing divine sense that was created. In this way, it was equivalent to Niao Wufeng alone being able to use the temporarily fused divine sense of the two. Lu Yang had a bad premonition. He shouted, "Not good. Quickly attack. Quickly." When the other completion core stage cultivators of the miraculous gate heard this, they all used their powerful magic treasures to attack. In the center of the area, the two completion core stage disciples of the weapon refining peak were not affected by the outside world. Their fused spiritual energy suddenly expanded and contracted. The tornado that was enveloping them seemed to be suppressed by some kind of huge force. From a height of more than 10 zhong, it was suddenly compressed to a height of more than 10 zhong. The color of the tornado became darker and darker, from a light cyan to a dark cyan. All the attacking magical weapons were pulled away by this small tornado. Although the number of wind blades in the tornado had decreased sharply, the power of each wind blade had reached the peak of the wind blade technique. Even Lu Yang's magic treasures would be blown away by these powerful wind blades after being pulled a few times. Niao Wufeng and the others were not harmed in the slightest. "You've been attacking for so long. It's time for you to have a taste of my Niao Wufeng's skills." Niao Wufeng's hoarse but confident voice came from the tornado. As soon as his voice fell, the small tornado shot towards the early core formation cultivators. After it was compressed, the speed of the spell was incomparably fast. In the blink of an eye, it arrived in front of the three cultivators. They immediately felt a strong suction force. They also felt the terrifying wind blades in the tornado. Their faces changed greatly, but their cultivation was only in the completion core stage. No matter how much they crazily injected their mana into the barrier, they were unable to resist the suction force. After resisting for a short while, the few of them were sucked into the tornado. After a while, a few screams came from inside. Even the completion core stage cultivator's dense mana barrier was unable to resist the wind blades inside. The three miraculous gate cultivators were sliced into minced meat in a short period of time. Not even a trace of their soul escaped. They were all crushed. Lu Yang and the others' faces were extremely ugly. These were completion core stage cultivators. Furthermore, they had the advantage in numbers. But the three of them were killed at the same time. It was obvious how powerful this spell was after being strengthened. The blood mist that floated out from the spell made the three of them, including Lu Yang, unconsciously take a step back. However, this small tornado did not attack them. Instead, it quickly crashed into the barrier outside. Whoosh! Whoosh! A few hurried sounds came. A gap was created in the restrictive spell. The small tornado quickly drilled out and was about to fly into the distance. TSK, TSK. I didn't think that a small clan like the Yang clan would have such a cultivator with the wind spiritual root. He even cultivated to the completion core stage. Not bad. Just nice to help me cultivate that spell. Huh. At an unknown time, a thin middle-aged man appeared outside the Yang clan. When he saw the small tornado, his eyes lit up as if he had seen a rare creature. Then, the middle-aged man stretched out a hand. A large blood-red hand appeared in the air above the tornado that had just drilled out of the restrictive spell. The blood-red hand emitted a powerful aura. At the same time, a terrifying spiritual pressure appeared nearby. The blood-red hand slammed down. Boom! The mighty tornado was shattered by the blood-red hand, revealing the two completion core stage cultivators inside. Their expressions were dispirited, and blood flowed out from the corners of their mouths. They didn't think that the blood-red hand would be so terrifying. When the hand brushed past the restrictive spell, a huge gap appeared. Then, the blood-red hand wrapped around the two, forming a blood-red eggshell. Then, the middle-aged man, with a terrifying cultivation, put them into a jade bottle magic tool. Greetings to Senior Pang. I didn't think that Senior Pang would personally come. When Lu Yang saw this man, he immediately became fearful. He quickly flew out of the barrier and bowed to greet him. It turned out that this middle-aged man was the blood-refining sect's Grand Elder, Old Devil Pang. Old Devil Pang looked at Lu Yang and said indifferently, "Your Grand Elder promised me something. I was worried, so I came to see for myself. I didn't think that the harvest would be so good." Not only did I meet this cultivator with the wind spiritual root, that Fong brat also has a sentient puppet. Since this old man is here, his life and death is no longer in his hands. Chapter 229. Lu Kuan and the others didn't know that after the silver dragon flying boat left, the blood-refining sect's great elder, Old Demon Pang, who was famous in the surrounding countries, came here. Otherwise, even if they had the silver dragon flying boat, they wouldn't have been able to escape. Fortunately, at this time, they were already hundreds of kilometers away from the Yang clan. Even a late, nascent soul stage cultivator wouldn't be able to discover them without using their divine sense to lock onto their opponent. However, while they were escaping, Little Gray, the little silver-spotted leopard, suddenly woke up and howled like a madman. Its voice was incomparably miserable. Lu Kuan and the others were silent after hearing it. Even if they didn't understand the language of spirit beasts, they could tell that Little Gray must have sensed that its mother had fallen. Xiao Jin was beside Little Gray. Its monkey face also showed a sad expression, but it had experienced the days of being chased by a group of spirit beasts. At this time, it was still quite calm. It used its monkey claws to firmly press down on the jumping little silver-spotted leopard. When Sher Chow heard such miserable cries, she couldn't help but think of Wang Ruobing, who was like a child to her. Her tears couldn't stop flowing. Yu Xian was at a loss. She didn't know if it was because she was infected, but she also thought of her father who died because of the Luo clan's betrayal. Her eyes also turned red. Zhao Qingtian also thought of many of his fellow disciples in the Morning Sun Peak, and Li Weiner, who had been undercover for many years. Yi Zetian was worried about Zhu Siming, who taught him the art of refining tools. Qin Yushu recalled Nie Wufeng's final determination. Gu Tianjin was even more depressed about his master, Ling Hu Yi, who was undoubtedly dead. Everyone here had inseparable feelings for the Yang clan, but because of the miraculous gate's destruction, all of them were shattered. Lu Kuan thought of Zhu Siming and Nie Wufeng. These two elders could be said to have been of great help to him. At the same time, Shun Mingyao's figure also appeared in his mind. He recalled Shun Mingyao's words at that time and felt that she had her own difficulties. Lu Kuan shook his head, took a deep breath, and said in a deep voice, "Everyone, although I don't want to believe it, according to the strength of the miraculous gate, the Yang clan should only be the few of us who survived." The others also knew this in their hearts, but they were still unwilling to believe it. Now that Lu Kuan had pointed it out, the sorrowful atmosphere became even more intense. Lu Kuan sighed and said slowly, "Not long ago, I was secretly attacked by Shan Mengyao, and my cultivation dropped to the qi refining stage. If it wasn't for martial uncle Nya, I would have been dead." Hearing Lu Kuan's words, Qin Yushu and the others were surprised. They all knew that Lu Kuan's cultivation method was special. As long as he didn't actively release it, it was impossible to detect his cultivation. But they didn't expect that Lu Kuan would drop by a whole realm. After that, Martial Uncle Nya told me that if I wanted to take revenge, if I wanted to know the truth, I had to become stronger. Furthermore, Marshal Uncle Nia's cultivation base had also regressed back then. It was only after he had cultivated back that I was able to pull myself together. The miraculous gate was strong enough to destroy the Yang clan. As long as we are strong enough, we can also destroy the miraculous gate. Although it's difficult, as long as we are alive, there will be a chance. The elders of the clan spared no expense to let the disciples of the crafting peak escape. It was all for that glimmer of hope. It was because they had that glimmer of hope that they burst out with the last brilliance of their lives. Lu Kuan became more and more agitated as he spoke. But we are here in vain and sad. Aren't we letting down the elders of the clan? Hearing Lu Kuan's words, Yi Zetian calmed down. That's right. Instead of being sad, why don't we think of a plan for the future? At the side, Qin Yushu thought that Lu Kuan was killed by Shun Mengyao, his beloved woman. Seeing Lu Kuan's encouraging expression, he patted Lu Kuan's shoulder and said, Junior brother, you've said too much. We have to think of a plan for the future. We are not out of danger yet. Then, Qin Yushu looked at Gu Tianjian. Gu Tianjian sighed and said, the Uncle Masters were busy blocking the core formation cultivators from the miraculous gate and didn't have time to talk about the retreat plan. But I guess the final destination should be the sea. The few of them looked at each other. They didn't know what the sea was. They had never heard of it before. They all looked at Gu Tianjian, hoping that he would tell them what the sea was like. Gu Tianjian smiled bitterly and shook his head. I've only heard about it from Master. I still have to look into the details. Fortunately, Master has already given me most of the ancient books of the crafting peak. Just as Gu Tianjian was about to take out his storage bag, Xiao Jin's ears perked up. His expression was panicked, and he kept squeaking. Lu Kuan and Xiao Jin were connected by blood. His expression changed drastically. What did you say? There's a cultivator chasing after us, and he's even faster than us? When the others saw Lu Kuan's expression, they were somewhat puzzled. Qin Yushu asked, Lu Shidi, what's wrong? Is there someone chasing after us? At this time, Lu Kuan turned around and looked behind the transparent flying boat. However, he didn't see anything. Xiao Jin's spiritual ear divine ability had a longer range than his golden eyes, so he couldn't see anyone for the time being. However, Lu Kuan absolutely believed in Xiao Jin's judgment. He said in a deep voice, Xiao Jin has a divine ability that can hear things from very far away. He just told me that there's a human cultivator following us about 10 miles behind us. Only core formation cultivators have this kind of escape technique. Moreover, they either have a flying magic weapon or a late-stage core formation cultivator. At this time, Gu Tianjian didn't have time to search for information about the overseas region. He said, Junior Marshal Brother Yi, Junior Marshal Brother Qin, lend me a hand. Normal core formation cultivators can only lock onto a range of 20 to 30 miles at most. If we combine our transcendence energy, we can definitely shake this person off. Gu Tianjian and Qin Yushu quickly walked to the control panel and poured their transcendence energy into it according to Gu Tianjian's incantation. The outside of the silver dragon flying boat emitted a bright silver light, and its speed increased by 30%. After a while, Xiao Jin scratched his forehead and called out a few times in embarrassment. Qin Yushu's face was somewhat pale as he asked, Junior Marshal Brother, what did Xiao Jin say? Lu Kuan frowned and said, I don't know if the other party has shaken us off or not. However, they've already exceeded Xiao Jin's hearing range. Xiao Jin's current hearing range is much further than a core formation cultivator's spiritual sense. They should have shaken him off. Hearing this, everyone let out a sigh of relief. They withdrew their transcendence energy and allowed the silver dragon flying boat to continue flying at a normal speed. If they accelerated, their transcendence energy would be consumed too quickly and they wouldn't be able to maintain it for too long. Just now, when the silver dragon flying boat was accelerating, Gu Tianjian steered the flying boat in several different directions. After they rested for a while, Xiao Jin anxiously called out again. What? He's catching up again? Impossible. Could it be a nascent soul cultivator? But if it's a nascent soul cultivator, even if we accelerate, we still won't be able to shake him off. Could it be that we've been hit by some kind of tracking spell? That's why that core formation cultivator is able to determine our position. Junior Martial Brother Yi, your transcendence energy is more profound. First, control the flying boat while I investigate. Then, Gu Tianjian hurriedly shuttled back and forth inside the flying boat, looking for unusual places. Lu Kuan and Qin Yushu were also using their divine sense to carefully explore their surroundings. After a while, they found nothing. Lu Kuan's expression changed. He poured his divine sense into his eyes and activated the golden eye divine ability to check the flying boat. However, he still didn't find anything. Huh? Suddenly, Lu Kuan exclaimed in surprise. Qin Yushu knew the power of Lu Kuan's golden eye divine ability and hurriedly asked, Junior Martial Brother, did you find anything? Lu Kuan repeatedly looked at them and suddenly thought of something. His face turned ugly as he said, the transcendence energy in your Dantian is wrapped in a layer of gray energy. When I saw the gray fog of the forbidden formation before, I felt that it was a bit strange. Now that I combined it with the transcendence energy in your Dantian, I remembered that this is the fusion energy tracking spell of the miraculous gate. Chapter 230. Gu Tianjian said in a daze, I didn't expect the miraculous gate to be so extravagant. They actually placed the demonic qi amalgamation on top of the forbidden formation. Seeing the confused looks in everyone's eyes, he said in a low voice, I've heard of this demonic qi amalgamation tracking technique from my master. It's a tracking technique unique to the miraculous gate. It's almost impossible to get rid of it. However, it requires special materials to cast it. These materials can only be found in the demonic abyss behind the miraculous gate. It's called the demonic qi amalgamation stone. It contains a special type of demonic qi left behind from the ancient war. As long as this demonic qi is contaminated with the mana of a cultivator, it will adhere to the stone and won't disappear for several months. The miraculous gate has a special secret technique to track this demonic qi. Therefore, the demonic qi amalgamation stone became a necessary item for the demonic qi amalgamation tracking technique. The demonic qi amalgamation stone was used up a lot in order to contaminate our forbidden formation. Then, Gu Tianjian said in a self-deprecating manner, It's ironic that my master and I once designed this demonic qi amalgamation tracking technique for the miraculous gate. I didn't expect them to use it to track us today. Qin Yushu couldn't help but ask, since senior brother designed it before, do you know how to break this demonic qi amalgamation tracking technique? Gu Tianjian smiled bitterly and said, It's because I know that this demonic qi amalgamation tracking technique can't be broken that I feel scared. The few of them looked at each other, and their hearts sank. Lu Kuan looked at everyone on the flying boat and frowned. Strange? Lu Shidi, did you discover something? Qin Yushu asked Lu Kuan with a hopeful expression. Lu Kuan said, Senior brother Qin, you know that my eyes have some special abilities. That's why I can see the gray demonic qi outside of your Dantian. Among us, I don't have any gray demonic qi in my body because my mana is in my muscles and bones. Then Lu Kuan pointed to the handsome young man and said, This is Yu Xian, my disciple. He has completely cultivated my demonic qi amalgamation technique. There's no gray demonic qi in his body. Hearing Lu Kuan's words, the few people present could understand. After all, Lu Kuan's self-created body refining technique was unique. But the little guy in the corner is a little strange. He's practicing a basic cultivation technique, but there's no demonic energy amalgamating qi in his Dantian. Lu Kuan then pointed to a middle-stage qi refining disciple who looked like a teenager lying on the ground in a corner of the flying boat. Everyone's expression froze. This young man's body was very small, and he was in the corner, so they actually did not notice him. But why wasn't the demonic qi amalgamation technique tainted by the unconscious demonic qi? Lu Kuan looked at Xiao Jin and said, Xiao Jin, I remember you threw this person in, right? Who is he? Why did you bring him in? Why did he faint? Xiao Jin scratched his head, spread his hands, and squeaked twice. Lu Kuan's eyes darkened. He was speechless. You don't know who saved him? Xiao Jin's face was full of fear. He let out a few hurried squeaks. Squeak, squeak. Lu Kuan's expression changed. What? The core formation cultivator, who's chasing us, is just 10 miles away. Squeak, squeak. Lu Kuan turned around and said, Senior Martial Brothers, let's ignore this disciple for now. Let's shake off this enemy first. After all, if we're within 10 miles, this person's divine sense might have already sensed us. All right, Qing Tian, Shui, come and help us. Gu Tianjian threw away his fear of the demonic qi amalgamation technique. Right now, he could only take one step at a time. Soon after, with the help of several people, the flying boat sped up and flew forward. Everyone on the Silver Dragon flying boat was thinking of a solution. Lu Kuan's cultivation technique was different from Yu Xian's, so he wasn't tainted by the demonic qi amalgamation technique. However, everyone else was tainted and could be tracked by the core formation cultivator behind the miraculous gate. Suddenly, Yi Zetian said, How about this? Let's split up and escape. There's only one core formation cultivator. If he chases us one by one, our chances of survival will be higher. Moreover, I've refined a one-time use fly magic tool. When it explodes, it's barely comparable to an early core formation cultivator's escape technique. The others looked at each other and nodded silently. They didn't argue and knew that every second counted. However, Gu Tianjian thought for a while and said, Junior Brother Yi, the core formation cultivator is chasing us relentlessly. I'm guessing that he's after the core formation cultivator's legacy. As he spoke, Gu Tianjian took out a jade slip and threw it to Yi Zetian. With a serious expression, he said, Junior Brother, if the core formation cultivator continues to chase after us, then there's a high chance that you'll be able to escape. In that case, the core formation cultivator's legacy can be passed down by you. However, if Junior Brother is caught by the enemy, without waiting for Gu Tianjian to continue speaking, Yi Zetian suddenly said with a crazed expression, Then I'll destroy this jade slip and burn my spiritual energy to fight to the death with the enemy. I definitely can't let the core formation cultivator's legacy fall into the enemy's hands. One must know that among these people, apart from Gu Tianjian, this Foundation Establishment late-stage cultivator was extremely obsessed with the core formation cultivator's legacy. He would rather die. He also wouldn't let the Yang clan's legacy fall into the enemy's hands. Okay, Brother Gu, open the flying boat's door. Take advantage of the fact that we're still far away from the enemy. Gu Tianjian silently nodded. He formed a seal and opened the flying boat's door. Yi Zetian took out a fiery red spirit shuttle. He looked at Lu Kuan and revealed a smile. Actually, the inspiration for this magic tool came from Lu Shidi. Senior and Junior Brothers, take care. Soon after, this peak late Foundation Establishment stage disciple merged with the fiery red spirit shuttle and shot off in another direction with a burst of fiery light. Seeing this, Gu Tianjian couldn't help but admire. I've heard of Lu Shidi's escape technique, but I've never thought that it could be used on a flying magic tool. Who knew that Junior Brother Yi had already refined it? I hope Junior Brother can successfully escape. Then, he turned around and said to the Zhao siblings and Qin Yushu, Everyone, quickly recover some of your transcendence energy and slow down. Let Xiao Jin experience the escape light of a core formation cultivator. About 20 kilometers away from the Silver Dragon flying boat, there was an old man with yellow eyebrows. He wore a black robe and a white cloak on his back. He was the cultivator from Miraculous Gate who destroyed the Yi clan with Lu Kuan, the yellow-browed Taoist. As the yellow-browed Taoist flew, the cloak on his back emitted a faint white light. It was obvious that his escape technique was so fast because of this cloak-like magic tool. Suddenly, the yellow-browed Taoist stopped. He looked at the formation plate in his hand, and his yellow eyebrows raised. He muttered, "Strange, strange. Every time I get within 5 kilometers, this flying boat will accelerate." Grand Elder clearly said that there are only Foundation establishment cultivators inside. How did they find out about me? Then, a dim gray dot on the formation plate flew away. The yellow-browed Taoist was quite surprised. Someone flew away alone. It seems that his escape technique is not inferior to a core formation cultivator. It seems that they have a lot of treasures on them. Then, the yellow-browed Taoist hesitated. But in the blink of an eye, he made a decision. There is a lot of demonic chi in that direction. Let's go there. If there are more people, then there might be a jade slip of inheritance. Finish Grand Elder's mission first. Our Grand Elder won't be stingy with people who have contributed. Chapter 2:31. As expected, that core formation cultivator still managed to catch up to us. Lu Kuan and Xiao Jin discussed for a while before revealing this fact that brought both joy and worry to everyone. Gu Tianyin looked in Yi Zetian's direction and nodded. Good. At least junior martial brother Yi has a high chance of escaping. Then Gu Tianyin looked at Lu Kuan and Qin Yushu. His hand flashed, and 2 storage pouches appeared. He threw them to the 2 of them. Lu Kuan saw this and said in shock, "Brother Gu, what do you mean by this? Could it be?" Gu Tianjin smiled. His expression was rather carefree as he said, "Juniors, the combined age of the 2 of you is no more than 100 years old. I'm more than twice your age, and my potential is much weaker than yours. In the current situation, I can only fly in another direction and try to disperse the enemy." Qin Yushu pressed down on Gu Tianjin's shoulder and shook his head. "Brother Gu, don't tell me we don't have a way to fight the enemy?" Gu Tianjin shook his head and said, "The strength of a completion level cultivator is not something you can fight against. I know all of your abilities. Unless you and Lu Kuan are both in the late stage of the foundational level, or even the peak, then you can barely fight against a completion level cultivator. As for me and junior martial brother Yi, our divine sense is ordinary. If we encounter a core formation cultivator, we won't be able to use our full strength." Then Gu Tianjin said worriedly, "Actually, what I'm most worried about is that the enemy is still chasing after the silver dragon flying ship. What will you do?" Lu Kuan and Qin Yushu were silent. This kind of probability was hard to predict. Qin Yushu said in a low voice, "This means that Brother Gu, you have a greater chance of escaping. As for Lu Shidi and I, we will destroy the legacy jade slip and fight to the death." Lu Kuan nodded. He thought about the 2 remaining chi pills in his storage pouch and the liquid magic in his bones and said, "That's right. Lu Kuan, although my cultivation has decreased, I will not be easily killed by the enemy if I use my physical body's abilities." Gu Tianjin nodded and said, "Although my flying magic tool is not as fast as junior martial brother Yez, it can last for a long time and won't consume too much magic power. Junior martial brothers, take care." Then, Qin Yushu flew away. Only Lu Kuan, Qin Yushu, the 2 spiritual beasts, the Zhao siblings, and the unconscious youth in the corner of the flying ship were left behind. They all felt the stifling atmosphere and didn't say anything. Xiao Jin even pricked up his ears and carefully sensed. After a while, the little monkey muttered a few words dejectedly. After Lu Kuan heard this, he murmured, "Good news." He didn't chase after Brother Gu. Instead, he's continuing to chase after us. Qin Yushu revealed a ruthless expression and said, "Then we'll do our best to escape and buy time for our 2 senior martial brothers. In the end, we'll fight to the death with him." "Master, I have an idea." Just as Lu Kuan and Qin Yushu decided to fight to the death with the opponent, Zhao Qingtan, who had been silent all this time, suddenly opened his mouth. Lu Kuan looked at this disciple with some surprise. Seeing his determined expression and no longer the dispirited expression from before, he knew that this disciple, with extremely high intelligence, had already recovered from a series of blows. He couldn't help but ask, "Qing Tian, what idea do you have? Quickly tell us." Zhao Qingtian continued to pour some magic power into the silver dragon flying ship's control plate and said, Master, the reason why the opponent can track us is because the magic power in our Dantian is tainted with demonic qi. Master, there's no magic power in your Dantian because after reaching the foundation establishment stage, you no longer cultivate magic power in your Dantian. Junior martial brother is the same. Doesn't that mean that if there's no magic power in your Dantian, you can escape from being tracked? Without waiting for Lu Kuan's reply, Zhao Qingtian's eyes were fierce. The magic power in his body surged, and a green light shone. In an instant, all of the magic power in his body was transferred into the silver dragon flying ship. Then, his face turned pale, and he spat out a mouthful of blood. Zhao Qingtian licked the blood on his lips and laughed. I directly activated all of my magic power in one go. My Dantian and some other meridians have been destroyed. The martial arts have been completely destroyed. Master, look again. Is there any demonic qi in my body left? Lu Kuan was shocked speechless by Zhao Qingtian's ruthlessness. He subconsciously looked and muttered, There's really no more? Boom! A strong wave of magic power came. Zhao Shui spat out a mouthful of blood. She held onto the silver dragon flying ship's control plate with both hands. It was obvious that she had done the same thing as Zhao Qingtian. Sher Chao bit her lips and endured the throbbing pain in her meridians. Her eyes flashed with hatred. Master, there's only a chance if you're alive. I, Sher Chao, can only avenge my Master Wang if I'm alive. You too. Lu Kuan did not know what to say. He did not expect these two disciples to be so decisive and not show any mercy to him. For a high and mighty cultivator who had reached the foundation establishment stage, how much courage did it take to destroy one's own cultivation? Lu Kuan suddenly felt another wave of magic power. He turned to look at Qin Yushu, whose eyes were red, and shouted, Senior Martial Brother Qin. Wait. Qin Yushu's magic power came to a halt, and he said, Junior Martial Brother, although Qin Yushu's cultivation was not easy to come by, but in this situation, it can also be destroyed. If my master can rebuild it, I don't believe that I can't. Lu Kuan suddenly slapped his head. His eyes lit up, and he said, Senior Martial Brother, wait. You don't need to destroy your own cultivation. Then Lu Kuan took out a white cloak from his storage bag and quickly wrapped it around Qin Yushu. Then his golden eyes lit up, and he said with joy, As expected, this cloak is useful. Under the protection of this cloak, the gray aura in your body is isolated. Qin Yushu was stunned and said, Really? Lu Kuan nodded. He recalled what Shen Mingyao did before. That day when she used the spirit-devouring art on him. She used this white cloak that she obtained from Zhang Tu in the Spirit Demon Valley to cover his body. He did not think of anything else. But when he thought about it, this spirit-devouring art was mentioned to him the day before Shen Mingyao used the spirit-devouring art. It gave Lu Kuan some hints, and Lu Kuan guessed that this white cloak had the effect of isolating the spirit-devouring art. Now it seems that this was indeed the case. It turns out that Shen Mingyao really did have something that was hard to say. She did all this just to save Lu Kuan's life. Lu Kuan shook his head and buried this thought in his heart. He said, My muscles' mana and bones' mana can barely power the silver dragon flying ship. Now we just need to escape to a secret place and hide. We don't have any mana in our bodies. Senior Martial Brother Qin also has the protection of this cloak. He can completely walk on the ground. Everyone else nodded. Even Little Gray, who had a crazy expression before, meowed softly. This little silver leopard, after seeing Zhao Qingtian and the others destroy their own cultivation, also understood that only by living can it become stronger and avenge its mother and Su Tianchuan. Lu Kuan activated the mana in his body and struggled to control the silver dragon flying ship. He flew towards a dense mountain range in the distance and landed in the dense forest. Chapter 232. Impossible. How did their essence-harmonizing devilish qi disappear? The yellow-browed Taoist turned pale with fright. He couldn't believe it and formed a hand seal. The formation plate in his hand suddenly doubled in size. There were only 2 dim gray arrows on it, and the originally eye-catching gray dots had already disappeared. This is too strange. Even a core formation cultivator wouldn't be able to get rid of the diluted essence, harmonizing devilish chi within a week. These little guys only used a few hours to find a flaw? The yellow-browed Taoist couldn't understand. He simply didn't think that Zhao Qingtian and Sher Chao would be so ruthless as to cripple their foundation establishment cultivation that they had painstakingly cultivated to. This was the same as cutting off their own cultivation path. It had to be known that it was almost impossible to cultivate magic power with broken meridians. With the speed of that strange flying boat, even if I chased them to the place where the essence-harmonizing devilish chi disappeared, they would have already escaped more than 15 kilometers away. With the power of my divine sense, it would be like looking for a needle in a haystack. Rather than wasting time, it would be better to chase after the 2 Yang clan disciples who flew away earlier. The yellow-browed Taoist pondered for a moment. His cloak flickered with spiritual light as he identified a direction and quickly flew off. Lu Kuan carried the still, unconscious youth and walked through the dense mountain forest. When he was in the air earlier, he discovered that this mountain range was part of the Luyang Mountain Range and was somewhat close to the Bright Spirit Mountain Range. The spiritual chi in this mountain forest was slightly sparse and was even mixed with some demonic chi. The trees in the mountain were lush with branches and leaves, and from time to time, the roars of various wild beasts could be heard. It seemed to be full of vitality. Sensing the surrounding environment, Lu Kuan's group unconsciously slowed down their pace. Squeak! Ever since Xiao Jin left the silver dragon flying boat, the monkey's expression became incomparably tense. Its spiritual ears had been standing upright, listening to the movements within a radius of 5 kilometers. After they walked for a few kilometers, Xiao Jin let out a few cries of relief. Then, the little yellow monkey raised its paws and rubbed its ears. After using its innate divine ability for such a long time, Xiao Jin was extremely exhausted. He didn't follow us? Lu Kuan heaved a sigh of relief when he saw Xiao Jin nod affirmatively. He said, according to the core formation stage cultivator's escape technique, he should be here by now. However, he hasn't appeared yet. This means that he has given up on pursuing us. We're safe for now. That's great. When the others heard this, they all collapsed to the ground, especially Sher Chao. Her beautiful face was already drenched in sweat. Her meridians were broken, and she had no magic power left. The only reason she was able to hold on and not collapse was because she had mastered the Vajra esoteric art. If it was an ordinary cultivator, they would have already fainted after crippling their own cultivation. Zhao Qingtian, on the other hand, didn't seem too weak. His body refining technique was at the middle stage of chi refinement, and he cultivated the primordial wood body refining art. His body recovered very quickly when he used the recovery technique. Even Lu Kuan decided to rest on the spot. It wasn't that their bodies couldn't take it, but that they needed to relieve the pressure on their minds. Everyone here, including Little Gray, had experienced all kinds of pain. He was mentally exhausted. Just as Lu Kuan and the others sat down to rest, Lu Kuan didn't pay attention to the youth on his body and accidentally knocked the youth's head into a nearby tree. This woke the youth up. With a start, he fell off Lu Kuan's body. The youth touched the extra bag on his head. His angular face seemed a bit distorted. However, he soon remembered what happened before he fainted and shouted, "Not good. The enemy has attacked the clan." He opened his eyes and carefully looked around. Only then did he realize that he was in a forest and not in the Yang clan. Then, he looked at the people in front of him. Big Brother Luo. The youth immediately saw Yu Xian sitting beside Sher Chao. His face lit up as if he knew him. Yu Xian had already returned to his original appearance. When he heard this, he looked at the youth and rubbed his eyes. He asked uncertainly, "You're Little Yin?" "That's me. My father said that Big Brother Luo was harmed by the Luo clan. I didn't expect you to be fine." This little Yun confirmed that this person was the Luo Xuanyu from back then. He no longer looked frightened. Little Yun, it's really you. Hearing this, Yu Xian finally confirmed the identity of this youth. Their conversation confused Lu Kuan and the others. Lu Kuan asked, Yu Xian, you know this kid? Martial Uncle Lu, why did you call Big Brother Luo Yu Xian? Also, wasn't I just a tool refining peak? How did I get here? There were so many enemies attacking. Ah, I remember now. I was captured by a big monkey. The youth spoke incoherently. Moreover, when he recalled the previous situation, his expression became excited again. After Lu Kuan and Qin Yushu shone in the battle at Shangqing sect, they could be said to be the idols of all the disciples of Tool Refining Peak. It was easy for cultivators to check portraits through jade slips, so all the disciples of Tool Refining Peak knew about the two of them. When Yu Xian saw this little Yun like this, clothes, alpha recitation, rustic private delicacies, master, little Yun's full name is Huang Xiaoyan. He's the son of a cultivator from the Yang clan called Huang Yunfei. I used to do some chores at the Luo clan's trading company, so I'm very familiar with this Uncle Huang. I didn't expect little Yun to successfully enter the Yang clan. Now, he's even in the middle stage of the aura refining realm, breaking his father's strange aptitude. When Lu Kuan heard this Huang Yunfei, he revealed a thoughtful expression. When he heard Yu Xian mention Huang Yunfei, who couldn't break through to the middle stage of the aura refining realm, Lu Kuan suddenly remembered. He asked, You're talking about that cultivator whose cultivation has always been in the third layer of the aura refining realm? Yu Xian said in surprise, Master, you also know Huang Yunfei? Lu Kuan looked at the youth in front of him and said with some emotion, That year, before I entered the Yang clan, it was this Huang Yunfei who acted as my guide in the Yang clan's trading company. His aptitude is strange, so I have some impression of it. I'm sure Qing Tian and Shui still remember him. Zhao Qing Tian and Sher Chao also recalled this and nodded. This Huang Yunfei's aptitude left a deep impression on them. He had 4 spiritual roots, and after cultivating for so long, he still couldn't break through to the 4th layer of the aura refining realm. It was indeed a bit strange. Yu Xian turned to Huang Xiaoyun and asked, Little Yun, is your father well? Huang Xiaoyun's expression was a bit gloomy as he said, My father used a secret technique he bought to transfer his cultivation to me. That's how I was able to break through to the middle stage of the aura refining realm. My father, on the other hand, has already passed away because of the loss of his cultivation and the side effects of the secret technique. I didn't think Uncle Huang would still do this. Right? Can you cultivate normally now? No. Although I've reached the 4th layer of the aura refining realm, after arriving at the Yang clan, I can't increase my cultivation no matter what I do. It's like there's a huge mountain in front of me that I can't break through. Qin Yushu heard their conversation and tightened the white cloak around his body. He said, If that's the case, Huang Xiaoyan should have a strange physique. The reason why the demonic qi couldn't touch him before is probably because of this physique. Lu Kuan looked at the sky and said, It's getting late. Let's find a secret place to rest. Little Yun, I'll tell you more about our Yang clan on the way. Chapter 233. In a valley in the depths of the Luyang mountain range, there was a shrub that looked extremely ordinary. If a powerful cultivator were to examine it carefully, they would discover that the shrub had an obscure fluctuation of spirit power. This was obviously an advanced formation that concealed the true situation behind a shrub. Behind this thicket, there was an extremely spacious cave. Lu Kuan and the others were sitting in various corners of the cave. They were all recovering their magic power and healing their injuries. However, Qin Yushu didn't recover his magic power. There was still essence-harmonizing devilish qi in his body, which was concealed by the white jade cloak. This essence-harmonizing devilish qi would only gradually disappear after a few months. He was currently flipping through a jade slip. He wanted to use this time to carefully understand this place that Gu Tianjian had mentioned. At this moment, Lu Kuan was sitting cross-legged across from Sher Chow. Light blue spirit chi surrounded them and slowly entered their bodies. Lu Kuan and Sher Chow were both cultivating the essence water body tempering technique. This essence water body tempering technique was something that Lu Kuan had comprehended after he obtained the last piece of parchment from Shun Mengyao. This essence water body tempering technique and the essence wood body tempering technique had one thing in common. It could heal injuries. However, the essence water body tempering technique focused on nourishing the body, while the essence wood focused on the recovery of the body. After using the essence water body tempering technique, Lu Kuan's originally thin body gradually filled out a little. Sher Chow's meridians had been damaged, so she couldn't cultivate any basic techniques. Fortunately, Lu Kuan had the essence water body tempering technique, which was very suitable for Sher Chow's ice attribute spirit root. In just a short while, Sher Chow's complexion had become rosy, and she didn't feel as weak as before. Moreover, she was trying to convert water attribute magic power in her muscles. Sher Chow's Vajra arts had already reached phenomenal success, so after cultivating the essence water body tempering technique, she should be able to possess mid-stage chi refinement realm magic power. Zhao Qingtian was also circulating the primordial tree body tempering art with all his might. Apart from repairing the damage to his body, he was also seizing the time to cultivate. He could only rely on body tempering cultivation techniques to increase his cultivation. Previously, Lu Kuan had already told him the method to break through to the foundation establishment realm. When Lu Kuan was cultivating his body and establishing his foundation, he had relied on the combination of the fire and wood elements in his body. The fire element was used to temper his body, while the wood element was used to repair his body. On the other hand, Zhao Qingtian only had one type of magical power in his body, and there was no way for him to cultivate basic magical power in his dantian. Relying on himself, there was no way for him to refine his body and break through to the foundation establishment stage. It was the same for Yu Xian. She cultivated the elemental fire body tempering art, and her muscles were filled with fire elemental magic. Even if she used the elemental fire to burn her body, she wouldn't be able to recover her body in time. Lu Kuan had told them that the method to establish their foundation was for the two of them to break through to the foundation establishment realm together. They could circulate their magical power around each other, and Yu Xian's elemental fire would be responsible for burning their bodies. Zhao Qingtian's wood elemental magic would be responsible for circulating the recovery technique and repairing his body. According to Lu Kuan's conjecture, if the two of them cooperated well, they would be able to break through to the foundation establishment realm at the same time. However, to complete this breakthrough, the two of them would need to have a relatively strong divine sense. Zhao Qingtian had the divine sense of a foundation establishment realm cultivator, so it was fine. Only Yu Xian's divine sense was slightly weaker. Now, the Yang clan was relying on these few people to pass on their legacy. Therefore, Lu Kuan had given them both the upper and lower parts of the spirit sensing art as auxiliary techniques. In this way, when Yu Xian reached the great circle of qi refining, even if his divine sense wasn't as strong as Lu Kuan's, it wouldn't be too far off. Moreover, he could only control one type of magical power, so it was much easier than Lu Kuan's. After all, compressing two types of gaseous magical power and one type of gaseous magical power were two different things. Just as the few of them were circulating their techniques, a cold aura suddenly erupted from Sher Chow's body, causing the temperature of the entire cave to drop. The others opened their eyes and looked at Sher Chow. They saw that Sher Chow's abdomen was emitting a blue light. It was the cold aura that was emitting from here. However, Sher Chow didn't seem to feel anything strange about herself, and continued to cultivate the Yuan water body refining technique. After a while, the blue light from her abdomen gradually dispersed to Sher Chow's entire body. Sher Chow's exposed skin gradually produced some frost, and her delicate face also showed a painful expression. Sher Chow even bit her lips, causing the blood that flowed out to be frozen. In the distance, Yu Xian came over and looked at Lu Kuan with eager eyes. However, she didn't dare to disturb Sher Chao, for fear of disturbing her cultivation. Lu Kuan shook his head at Yu Xian and didn't speak. He continued to watch Sher Chao's changes. He had already seen that there was an ice attribute energy in Sher Chao's body. This energy replaced the water attribute spirit qi and helped Sher Chao cultivate her body refining technique. After about an hour, Sher Chao ended her cultivation. The blue light in her dantian gradually disappeared, and the cave returned to normal temperature. The frost on Zhao Shui-er's skin disappeared, but the few of them noticed that Zhao Shui-er's skin had become even fairer after she finished cultivating. Sher Chao opened her eyes and saw that the few of them had surrounded her. She was puzzled and asked, "What's wrong with you guys?" Zhao Qingtian couldn't help but say, "Shui, a blue light appeared on your abdomen just now, making our entire cave feel like winter." Blue light, abdomen? Sher Chao couldn't help but touch her abdomen and murmured. Lu Kuan frowned and said, "The blue light in your abdomen seems to be ice attribute spirit qi. It's helping you cultivate the Yuan water body refining technique. It shouldn't be harmful to you." "I know, it's Master Wang Ruobing." Sher Chao immediately recalled when she heard Lu Kuan's words. She revealed a sorrowful expression and said, "After Master Wang's aura's core was shattered by Li Weiner, she poured her profound ice body refining technique mana into her magic treasure and finally sealed it in my body." Lu Kuan's expression changed and said, "Shui, activate your physical body's mana and let us see." Zhao Shui nodded and activated the mana in her muscles. At this moment, everyone could feel the ripple of mana. Yu Xian was shocked. This was the mana fluctuation of the late stage of qi refining. "You really have reached the late stage of qi refining." Lu Kuan revealed an expression of "I knew it." Zhao Qingtian couldn't help but ask, "Master, do you know why Shui reached the late stage of qi refining technique the moment she started cultivating?" Lu Kuan nodded and said, "Qingtian, do you remember that you relied on the liquid mana of the Eternal Spring formula to directly reach the 10th stage of qi refining?" That is indeed the case. I had a guess before. The purer and higher the level of mana, the faster the cultivation of the Eternal Spring formula. Now Shui-O's situation has confirmed this point. The blue light in her body is a magic treasure that contains the mana of a core formation cultivator. Just now, maybe because of the uniqueness of the Eternal Spring formula, or maybe because of the special nature of Shui-Er's ice spirit root, she used the core formation level mana to refine her body. It's a different type of spiritual energy and high-level mana. It's normal for her to reach the 10th stage of qi refining on her first try. Lu Kuan's face revealed a bit of joy and said to Sher Chao, "Shui, your cultivation of the Eternal Spring formula has progressed extremely quickly by relying on the sealing magic treasure that Master Wang left for you. This way, you don't have to use the method of refining your body to break through to foundation establishment. You can completely follow the prescribed order and spend a few more days to refine your body to the peak of qi refining. In addition, you still have the power of your foundation establishment divine sense. It's very possible for you to directly reach foundation establishment." Chapter 234. That, Martial Uncle Lu, can I be your disciple and cultivate this body-tempering art? While the group was still amazed by Zhao Shui-Er's cultivation speed, Huang Xiaoyan, who had been eavesdropping on the side, suddenly asked. Lu Kuan immediately turned his head and saw Huang Xiaoyan's hopeful gaze. "Xiaoyan, you want to learn the body-tempering art?" Hearing Lu Kuan's response, this angular and masculine youth excitedly nodded his head and said embarrassedly, "Yesterday, when Martial Uncle Lu was teaching me the body-tempering art, I accidentally overheard some of it. I feel that only this kind of body-tempering art that doesn't require a dantian can I continue to cultivate. Otherwise, I'll probably be stuck at level 4 qi refining forever." Hearing Huang Xiaoyun's words, Lu Kuan's heart moved. Thinking of his special constitution, he slightly hesitated and nodded his head in agreement. Okay, I'll accept you as my disciple. From Lu Kuan's point of view, as long as he could raise the cultivation level of these people, there was no problem at all. Huang Xiaoyun's father had some relationship with him, and he was also one of the lucky survivors of the weapon refining peak. Huang Xiaoyun was extremely excited and immediately performed the ceremony of becoming his disciple, respectfully calling out, "Master." Lu Kuan looked at Huang Xiaoyun's excited expression and unconsciously felt the burden on his body become heavier. With so many people starting to cultivate the body tempering art, he had to quickly recover his cultivation level and charge towards the next level. Soon after, Lu Kuan introduced, "Xiaoyun, your senior and junior brothers are all here. The one who saved you before was your eldest senior brother, Xiaojin." When this little yellow monkey heard Lu Kuan say eldest senior brother, it immediately raised its head and puffed out its chest, swaying in front of Huang Xiaoyun, looking very proud. Huang Xiaoyun was very curious as to how a spiritual beast could learn the body tempering art from his master and be so strong. At that time, Xiao Jin's aura was fierce after its body expanded, and it easily received the attack of a foundation establishment stage cultivator, leaving a deep impression on him. Huang Xiaoyun looked at the little monkey in front of him and very obediently called out, "Eldest senior brother," making Xiao Jin proudly grin. Lu Kuan smiled and continued, "Your second senior brother Zhao Qingtian, third senior sister Sher Chao, fourth senior brother Yu Xian, and your master's fifth disciple. The body tempering art of the others are all different. I have 5 kinds of body refining arts. Their attributes correspond to the 5 basic arts of the refinement stage. Only those with the corresponding spiritual roots can practice them. Furthermore, each of them has their own unique secret arts. Some focus on support, while others focus on attack." Huang Xiaoyun first bowed to his senior brothers and sisters. After hearing the second half of the sentence, he asked with some doubt, "Master, what about the body tempering art of the body tempering art of the body tempering art?" Lu Kuan lowered his head and pondered for a while, then said, "Your physique is special. Master hasn't thought about it yet. However, you should first cultivate the introductory body tempering art, the Vajra esoteric art. You have entered the middle stage of the body tempering realm, and the power of your divine sense has already been opened, so your cultivation speed won't be slow." Then Lu Kuan said to Yu Xian, "Yu Xian, teach Xiao Yun the Vajra esoteric art later. After the Vajra esoteric art is completed, I will see which body tempering art of the body tempering art for Xiao Yun to cultivate." "Yes, master." Lu Kuan was quite curious about Huang Xiaoyun's physique. At present, he knew of several physiques, such as Li Weiner's spiritual body. This spiritual body should be the witch's own physique. It was too difficult to fake one's physique. Shen Mingyao had the Kuei water body, and he had the golden giant ape bloodline. These physiques had some special abilities that ordinary people couldn't compare to. Huang Xiaoyun's mysterious physique was currently manifested in 2 situations. First, the body tempering art of 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 the body tempering art. Even the silver dragon flying boat couldn't stop the demonic qi, but Huang Xiaoyun's physical body blocked the demonic qi from entering his dantian. It can be seen that his physique is special in his physical body. It might be very suitable for body tempering art. Just as Lu Kuan was letting his imagination run wild, Qin Yushu looked at them from the side and found that they were all cultivating Lu Kuan's body tempering art. Moreover, the Zhao siblings had extraordinary aptitudes and were very likely to succeed in body tempering foundation establishment. He said with some emotion, "I didn't expect that other than me, everyone in our group is cultivating junior brother's body tempering art." As he spoke, Qin Yushu recalled Lu Kuan's battle style after he established his foundation establishment. His eyes lit up and he said excitedly, "Junior brother, do you know how powerful your disciples are after they reach the foundation establishment stage? Lu Kuan looked at these disciples and said, "From what I've seen, the strongest battle style of the body cultivator is definitely to use a magic item in hand and use lightning-fast speed and powerful attacks to suppress the opponent in close combat. All attacks that can be used to unleash powerful physical strength. Close combat attacks can be combined with the special abhijna of the body tempering art to unleash special effects. Furthermore, body cultivators have powerful physical defenses and are not afraid of being defeated in a battle where both sides are injured. As for my disciples, according to my speculations, after they establish their clear sky foundation, their pure wood elemental muscle mana will have a numbing effect in every attack. Once they gain the upper hand, the average opponent will be suppressed to death. Shui'er has the sealing magic treasure that Uncle Wong inherited. Coupled with her ice spiritual root, it is very likely that her mana, after she establishes her foundation establishment stage, will mutate into an ice elemental. This way, her attacks will be able to slow down the enemy's speed and some unique abhijna that I cannot predict. As for Yu Xian, she is the same as me. She cultivates the primordial fire body tempering art. Her attack and explosive power are her greatest advantages. As for the other two metal body tempering arts and earth body tempering arts, if my speculations are correct, their attack and defense are extraordinary. Following which, Lu Kuan's face revealed a somewhat confident expression and said, "I'm not bragging, but after they establish their foundation establishment stage, they all have the powerful strength to fight one against two." Qin Yushu revealed an expression of, "I knew it," and said, "If Junior Brother's body tempering art continues to improve and your disciples continue to increase, then there will be hope for our revenge." The more he thought about it, the more excited he became. He continued to say, "If Junior Brother reaches the nascent soul stage, you will have a dozen core formation stage disciples and hundreds of foundation establishment stage disciples. With this kind of strength, it is completely possible to destroy the miraculous gate." Although I don't know the battle prowess of core formation stage and nascent soul stage body tempering art, just thinking about hundreds of foundation establishment stage body tempering art attacking together makes me shudder. Even Zhao Qingtian and the others were excited by Qin Yushu's words. Zhao Qingtian muttered, "Hundreds of foundation establishment stage body tempering art. Even if each of them only has half of master's strength, the more than 200 foundation establishment stage demonic cultivators of the miraculous gate will definitely not be our match." Lu Kuan was also quite excited. He understood the meaning of Qin Yushu's words. He wanted to develop disciples, or rather, develop disciples of body tempering art. Otherwise, even if he cultivated to a very high level, he would not be able to fight against the entire miraculous gate. However, at the thought of the current situation, Lu Kuan smiled bitterly and said, "Senior Brother Qin, you're right, but for now, we'd better escape from Wei Nation first. Although I'm confident in myself, I haven't recovered my foundation establishment cultivation yet. And I don't know how to break through to the core formation stage. I have also derived the foundation establishment method of these disciples. When they really break through to the foundation establishment stage, the process will definitely be extremely dangerous like mine. After the miraculous gate destroyed the Yang clan, their power will definitely increase greatly. If we want to take revenge, it will be a long and arduous journey." Then, he revealed a somewhat strange expression. "But Senior Brother, if this is the case, at least there is hope for our revenge." Then, Lu Kuan looked at the few of them and said, "The body tempering art can change the facial muscles. After the limelight dies down for a while, I will go out and investigate." Chapter 235. Then, Qin Yushu looked at the jade slip in his hand. He patted his head and said, "I almost forgot. I just checked the jade slip that Brother Gu left for us. I finally know what kind of place overseas is." When everyone heard Qin Yushu's words, they all looked at him with curiosity in their eyes. Although Gu Tianjian had the relevant ancient books, he did not have the time to check them, when he was being chased by the enemy. Qin Yushu organized his words and began to explain. I believe you all know that there are two countries near our Wei state. One is the Jin state that borders Lu state and Qingzhou state, and the other is the Qi state that borders Zhongzhou state. In fact, there is a third country. It is the Chu state that is close to Zhongzhou state. After we pass this Chu state, we will arrive overseas. Lu Kuan murmured, the Chu state? When I was in the sect's Hidden Scriptures Pavilion, I specially checked. I know about the Qi state and the Jin state. Why didn't I see any records about the Chu state? Qin Yushu sighed and said, like Lu Shidi, I only know about the Qi state and the Jin state. However, these two countries are not suitable for us to take refuge in. Needless to say about the Qi state, the reason why the miraculous gate could lead several other sects to defeat the Shangqing sect was because of the support of the Qi state's blood-refining sect. When we arrive at the Qi state, if this sect, which is more powerful than the Shangqing sect, mobilizes their forces to search for us, it will be much more dangerous than staying in the Wei state. As for the Jin state, it is too close to our Lu state. The miraculous gate's forces are within reach. Moreover, there are many small sects in the Jin state. They are weak. As long as the miraculous gate says a word, they will mobilize their forces to search for us. Lu Kuan was somewhat enlightened. He said, the Qi state is in the north, and the Jin state is in the southeast. In that case, isn't the Chu state in the west? Qin Yushu nodded and said, the state of Chu is to the west of Wei state's Songzhou. Lu Kuan recalled the ancient records he had read before. He frowned and said, that's not right. Senior Marshal Brother Qin, I remember that west of the Tsang Prefecture is a land of death. Could it be that the Chu country is still west of the land of death? That's right. In order to reach Chu, we have to cross the land of death. At this time, Huang Xiaoyun suddenly interrupted. He didn't have much experience and didn't know much. When he heard a place like the land of death, he unconsciously shrank back and asked, Master, Marshal Uncle Qin, what is the land of death? Lu Kuan explained, the land of death is a very large area that stretches for thousands of miles. Not a single blade of grass grows there, the climate is strange, and the spirit Qi is extremely scarce. Only a mysterious energy known as the Death Qi exists. There are no humans living in this land of death. However, some cultivators with peculiar cultivation techniques would head to this land of death to borrow the death energy, there to practice some secret techniques. I heard that there are many powerful creatures there. However, I didn't see much information in the Jade Slip, so I don't know what the real situation is. Qin Yushu added, I know a little more than Junior Apprentice Brother Lu. Due to the lack of spiritual energy in this land of death, cultivators will need to use a lot of transcendence energy to fly. They can only rely on spirit stones to recover their transcendence energy. Ordinary Foundation establishment cultivators would need to spend several months to pass through this place. If they don't have a map, they might get lost and spend up to a year. Fortunately, there is a route map in this Jade Slip. As for the danger, it is not small. The powerful creatures that Lu Shidi mentioned are some demonic beasts that cultivate with the help of the Death Qi, as well as some zombies that mutated from the corpses of cultivators. Legend has it that there are silver-armored corpses that are comparable to nascent soul cultivators in the land of death. When the others heard that there were existences comparable to nascent soul cultivators in the land of death, their faces turned pale. It must be known that their group's strength was limited. A core formation cultivator could kill them all. Qin Yushu smiled and shook his head. This is only recorded in the Jade Slip. Silver-armored corpses haven't appeared for many years. Even bronze-armored corpses that are comparable to core formation cultivators are rarely encountered. Lu Kuan let out a sigh of relief. He said, it's best that this land of death has a certain level of danger. The miraculous gate can't send a large number of disciples to pass through this place to find us. Qin Yushu nodded and continued, beyond the land of death is the state of Chu. The reason why we haven't heard any information about the state of Chu is because Foundation establishment cultivators rarely go to the land of death. Most of the people who pass through the land of death to the state of Chu are core formation cultivators from the sixth sex. The core formation elders of our weapon refining peak have also been to the state of Chu. That's why they left behind this information. Zhao Qing Tian asked with some confusion. If that's the case, the state of Chu is already very safe. Why we have to pass for the state of Chu and go to that place overseas? Qin Yushu revealed a somewhat proud smile. He said, the most powerful inheritance of the Yang clan is the weapon refining peak's weapon refining technique. The elders hope that we can master the weapon refining technique in our sect. If that's the case, we will need a large amount of materials to refine magic weapons. Moreover, we will need to find a place to sell the magic weapons. We will earn spirit stones and secretly accumulate strength, Lu Kuan said with some realization. So this place overseas has enough materials to refine magic weapons. Similarly, a large number of cultivators will buy them. That's right. Qin Yushu flipped through the jade slip and looked at it again. He continued, according to the jade slip, the other side of the state of Chu is an endless sea. Cultivators call this part of the sea near the state of Chu the beyond the sea. It seems that no cultivators have explored the further parts of the sea. Even if they did go out, they never came back. The majority of the creatures in the beyond the sea are not human cultivators, but demonic beasts. Demonic beasts? Yes, the beyond the sea is incomparably vast. Under the sea, human cultivators can't survive, so a large number of demonic beasts live there. These demonic beasts and human cultivators often fight. However, 10,000 years ago, human cultivators won a great victory and drove all the demonic beasts to another part of the beyond the sea. Cultivators occupied many of the islands in the beyond the sea that are rich in spirit chi. If we want to go to the beyond the sea, we have to go to Giant Island near the state of Chu. Giant Island? Let me see. The Abyss Island. Yes, it's called the Abyss Island. This is the gathering place for human cultivators in the beyond the sea. Many cultivators come to this island to hunt demonic beasts and obtain materials to increase their cultivation. You can also think of this island as a huge market. Moreover, the island is relatively safe. Fights between cultivators are prohibited. There will be many cultivators here with all kinds of strange demonic beast materials, looking for master refiners to refine magic weapons and magic weapons to quickly increase their strength. Now, everyone finally understood why the elders in the sect wanted to go to the beyond the sea. This place was far away from the state of Wei. No matter how strong the miraculous gate was, it couldn't deal with them there. Chapter 236. Lu Kuan and the others had already divided the cave into several rooms. Each of them chose a room to cultivate in. However, Little Gold and Little Gray, the two spirit beasts, ran into the mountain range. They wanted to find some demonic beasts to vent some of their resentment. Xiao Jin had the ability to hear things. In addition to their strength as second-level demonic beasts, there was probably no one in the mountain range that could threaten them. The last cultivators of the Yang clan planned to go overseas after finding out about it. If Gu Tianjin and Yi Zetian also managed to escape, then they would definitely go to the outer seas. Perhaps when they reached the outer seas, they would reunite with their fellow disciples. Qin Yushu was afraid that the essence fusing demonic qi in his body would change. Therefore, he had been tightly wrapped in the white jade cloak during this period of time. He was organizing the route to overseas, trying to find the safest route. As for the others, they relied on the spirit stones in their hands to cultivate. After all, the spirit chi in this place was far inferior to that of the Yang clan's treasured land. They planned to wait for Qin Yushu's essence, fusing demonic chi, to disappear before they set off for overseas. Before they set off, this mountain range with thin spirit chi was relatively safe. Although Lu province was now under the control of the Miraculous Gate, it would still take some time for the Miraculous Gate to completely occupy the Yang clan's spirit vein. Lu province, on the other hand, was relatively safe. Lu Kuan sat cross-legged in a sealed cave. He was wearing silver armor and silently circulating the body-tempering technique. Ever since he returned to the sect after being hit by the essence-devouring technique, he immediately encountered the miraculous gate attacking the sect. After tossing and turning, he could finally relax and heal some of the internal injuries caused by the essence-devouring technique. At this moment, Lu Kuan opened his eyes and stopped healing. His body had returned to its previous state and was no longer thin. He looked at his plump body and sighed with emotion. I didn't expect the origin water body tempering technique to be so miraculous. It can nourish one's origin chi. It's really quite profound. Fairy Ling's brother is truly a genius. After sighing, Lu Kuan thought of something inside. Previously, I was in a tense state, so I didn't have the time to check my body properly. When I first recovered, I checked my body carefully and found that my strength had regressed too much. Lu Kuan raised his arms and silently recited some kind of incantation. With a bang, his arms quickly became thick and solid. The silver armor on them was completely propped up. Each piece of armor was connected by some elastic spider silk. Through the gaps in the spider silk, one could vaguely see the bulging veins and flowing black blood. Although I haven't activated my essence blood yet, I can still feel that my giant arms are much weaker than when I was in the foundation establishment stage. The power I can unleash has decreased by a lot. On the other hand, the Spirit Eye Divine ability is pretty much the same as before. As for the strength of my physical body, no, it should be the strength of my muscles. It's no different from when I was in the foundation establishment stage. As he spoke, a layer of aqua blue shield appeared around Lu Kuan's body, close to the spirit-controlling armor. I almost forgot. I've been circulating the origin water body tempering technique. The shield now is obviously formed by water elemental mana. Lu Kuan quietly used his consciousness to feel it. He shook his head and sighed. The origin water shield and the origin fire shield are about the same in terms of defensive power. My defensive power has also decreased greatly. If I were to fight against a foundation establishment stage cultivator now, even if I had a powerful magical item, my physical defense wouldn't be able to last for long. Then, Lu Kuan put away the origin water shield formed by the origin water body tempering technique. He closed his eyes and sensed the situation in his body. Suddenly, a bit of green-red light appeared on his palms. It was faintly discernible. It seemed to be the dual-colored shield of the foundation establishment stage. But now this shield was incomparably dim. It only covered his palms, as if it would disappear at any time. Lu Kuan looked at his hands and murmured, "Even with the dominance of the origin-devouring technique, there's no way to absorb the trace of liquid mana in my bones. It's a pity that there's too little of it. It's useless to use it for defense. It's better to activate it all at once and launch a foundation establishment stage attack. Combined with the giant arms theurgy, I can barely unleash an attack like before." Lu Kuan smiled bitterly and comforted himself. At least I have the power to fight against a foundation establishment stage cultivator. He dispersed the green-red light in his hands. His expression was slightly hesitant. It's a pity. Although the liquid mana in my bones can activate the origin fire, but right now my body can't withstand the white origin fire at all. Plus, I don't have the wood attribute spiritual power to repair my body. The water attribute spiritual power is still lacking in this aspect. Like this, it's very difficult for me to use the origin fire to refine my body and quickly increase the strength of my body. In this way, I can only use this trace of liquid mana in conjunction with the mana in my muscles to temper my body and muscles. Right now, my body strength is around the 11th level of the chi refining stage. This bit of liquid mana should be able to let me quickly reach the 12th level of the chi refining stage. I should still experiment and see how long I can sustain training. Thinking of this point, Lu Kuan immediately closed his eyes again. He injected his consciousness into the spirit-controlling celestial artifact and mobilized the liquid mana in his bones. At the same time, all the muscles in his body also began to contract rhythmically. Gradually, this liquid mana, under Lu Kuan's control, was incorporated into the tempering of his body little by little. After entering the foundation establishment stage, Lu Kuan discovered that his bone mana can only be mobilized through the spirit-controlling celestial artifact. It's not like the mana in his muscles, which can be mobilized through the muscle fibers. If he didn't have the spirit-controlling celestial artifact, Lu Kuan wouldn't have been able to mobilize the slightest bit of bone mana when he didn't have spiritual roots. As all the liquid mana in his bones was mobilized, the water attribute mana in Lu Kuan's muscles suddenly began to boil. This liquid mana has the dual attributes of wood and fire. It's like a flame that's been poured with oil, hot and fierce. After meeting water, water and fire repel each other. Lu Kuan's muscles' mana surged violently. Even when Lu Kuan first operated the two attributes of fire and wood together, it wasn't so intense. Lu Kuan couldn't help but spit out a mouthful of blood. At the same time, some blood flowed out from the surface of his skin. It flowed out through the gaps in the spirit-controlling armor. Lu Kuan's expression was somewhat aghast. Feeling the empty, liquid mana in his bones, he was somewhat relieved. Fortunately, there's very little liquid mana. Otherwise, my body would definitely be seriously injured. It would be very troublesome to heal then. Shaking his head, Lu Kuan slowly consumed the remaining water attribute mana in his muscles. Then he took out a wood attribute spirit stone and began to operate the primordial tree body tempering art to repair the damage to his body. After a while, Lu Kuan's complexion gradually recovered. However, he didn't continue cultivating. Instead, he took out a fire attribute spirit stone and absorbed the fire attribute spirit chi. Lu Kuan didn't operate the two types of mana in his muscles at the same time. Instead, he silently operated the foundation establishment body tempering art. The reason why the fire and wood attribute spirit chi couldn't fuse into liquid mana in his muscles was because his muscles weren't strong enough. However, a small portion of Lu Kuan's bones that stored liquid mana could completely withstand the liquid mana. Therefore, Lu Kuan cultivated a new portion of liquid mana in his bones. Then, Lu Kuan opened his eyes and looked at the two spirit stones in his hand. Then, he took out a water attribute spirit stone. Looking at the three spirit stones of different attributes, Lu Kuan's expression changed. Chapter 237. About half an hour later, when he didn't mobilize the liquid magic in his bones, the water magic in his muscles wouldn't conflict with it. After Lu Kuan cultivated the water magic in his muscles to the 11th layer of chi condensation, his expression became incomparably serious. He quickly took out a jade slip from his storage pouch. It was the Shangqing lightning controlling technique he obtained from Zhao Jinhong of the Shangqing sect. Looking at the contents of the jade slip, the worry between Lu Kuan's brows gradually dissipated, and his expression became excited. Haha! I originally thought this conjecture would only be realized when I advanced to the core formation stage. I didn't expect that after my cultivation dropped due to the spirit-devouring technique, it would instead be possible to realize it now. Lu Kuan tightly grasped the jade slip with both hands. Due to his excitement, his face flushed red. He continued to talk to himself. Shui Air has a different attribute spiritual root. In addition, a core formation cultivator's magic treasure contains the ice attribute energy. Therefore, she can extravagantly use the ice attribute energy to temper her body and her cultivation progress at lightning speed. Looking at the jade slip in his hand, Lu Kuan's eyes grew brighter and brighter. If I have lightning magic to temper my body, my cultivation speed won't be comparable to that trace of liquid magic. This Shangqing lightning-controlling true chant talks about the formation of lightning-type spiritual roots and lightning-type spiritual powers. It can allow cultivators with ordinary ice, fire, and with spiritual roots to possess lightning-type spiritual roots and lightning-type spiritual powers. I have a thunder spiritual root to begin with, so it's easier for me to control Thunder's spiritual power. Now, I even have 3 spiritual powers in my body by chance. I've already more or less comprehended the secret technique of the Shangqing lightning controlling technique. I originally planned to try to store 3 types of magic in my muscles, bones, and organs when I reached the great circle of foundation establishment. I wanted to see if it was possible to fuse the 3 elements into one and form lightning magic. Who would have thought that when the dual attribute liquid magic power in my bones meets the water magic power in my muscles, it would be so intense? If I had really tried to fuse them when I was at the great circle of foundation establishment, I might have exploded and died from the intense collision of the rich magic power. At this moment, the fire and wood elemental mana is so scarce. Although the water elemental mana is abundant, it is still in the gaseous state. This way, the 2 sides have formed a balance. Even if I fail, this little bit of magic power conflict will at most injure me. It won't be life-threatening. Previously, when I first started using the liquid Dharma power to cultivate, the Dharma power in my body didn't react violently. When the Dharma power in the liquid state increased, the scene of water and fire being incompatible occurred. Then, when the liquid magic power of fire and wood is scarce, that is when I could try to combine the 3 elements into one. Lu Kuan mumbled to himself. His eyes glowed with a fanatical look, causing anyone who saw him to feel a bit scared. Ordinary cultivators would not be able to understand Lu Kuan's feelings. For Lu Kuan, every time there was an opportunity for a change in the body tempering art, it was an opportunity that he could only come across by chance. For example, the ancient foundation establishment technique, weapon refining technique, and spirit sensing technique obtained by the Yang clan. Without these, he would not have been able to successfully establish his foundation establishment technique, let alone use this as a foundation to derive the foundation establishment technique of other attributes of the body tempering art. Although Lu Kuan seemed to be extremely powerful when he was in the foundation establishment stage, no one knew about the fear in his heart. From Lu Kuan's point of view, there were no guiding lights in front of him on the path of body tempering. No, there was not even a path. What was in front of him was darkness. Every time he took a step forward, Lu Kuan would feel more invisible pressure on his face. That feeling was as if his head was buried deep in water, the feeling of suffocation from the lack of oxygen for a long time. At this time, if there was a glimmer of light in the darkness ahead, or if the mouth and nose buried deep in the water breathed in a breath of air, that kind of joy and excitement would explode, making you resolutely walk on. When Lu Kuan succeeded in establishing his foundation, it was only a light behind him that was turned on, and this light only illuminated a small part of the dark path of body tempering. If Zhao Qingtian and the rest were to face difficulties, after successfully establishing their foundation, there would be even more guiding lights at the front of the path of body tempering, illuminating different paths. Right now, Lu Kuan had already crossed the first intersection and was walking towards the next one in a daze. Suddenly, a very likely shortcut street light appeared in front of him. How could he not be fanatical and wild with joy? Lu Kuan threw the Shangqing lightning-controlling true chant to one side and sat down cross-legged again. He mobilized the majority of his water-attributed gaseous mana and gathered it in his right arm. At the same time, a trace of wood-fire liquid mana surged out from the surface of the bones in his right arm, and the gaseous mana immediately wrapped around this trace of liquid mana. Immediately after, the innermost water-attributed mana that was in contact with the liquid mana began to fluctuate. The corners of Lu Kuan's mouth revealed a slight smile, and according to the lightning-attributed mystery of the Shangqing lightning-controlling true chant, he operated his powerful consciousness and adjusted the contact method of these mana. Soon after, the liquid mana in the middle and the water-attributed mana next to it arranged in a strange way, but the liquid mana was constantly trembling, as if it was not very stable. Lu Kuan gritted his teeth, and a large amount of water-attributed mana rushed madly towards the liquid mana in the middle, continuously washing away that trace of unstable liquid mana. After an unknown amount of time, this liquid mana suddenly dispersed and turned into the gaseous mana of fire and wood. Now, Lu Kuan's right arm suddenly swelled, and at the same time his face became somewhat pale, as if he had lost too much blood. He actually directly used the giant arm theurgy, but only his right arm. At the same time, Lu Kuan's consciousness that was comparable to the middle stage of Foundation establishment all rushed towards his right arm. Lu Kuan raised his head and roared, his face full of malevolent pain, and the spirit-controlling armor on his right arm directly exploded, revealing the constantly twisting muscles of his upper arm. Here, the upper arm had already turned greenish-black, as if a large amount of blood clots had gathered in it. Lu Kuan could not bear the pain of his swollen right arm, and could not help but hit the stone wall in front of him. Boom! The stone wall fixed by this spell was shattered by Lu Kuan's right arm. Hearing Lu Kuan's roar and the sound of the stone wall shattering, the others came out one after another. They could completely hear the pain in that roar, and they all looked in the direction of Lu Kuan's stone house very worriedly. However, the stone house in front of them had already disappeared, and only a pile of rubble was left on the ground. They could vaguely see a figure buried under the rubble. His consciousness felt that Lu Kuan's life force was vigorous, but the rubble did not move for a long time. Zhao Qingtian could not help but ask, "Master, are you okay?" There was still no response from the rubble, so Zhao Qingtian and the others prepared to go forward. Boom! The rubble on the ground exploded and flew all over the sky. Fortunately, Zhao Qingtian and the others reacted quickly, and their bodies covered with elemental fire and elemental water shields, blocking the rubble. Ha ha! We finally succeeded. These people saw a burly figure in the middle of the rubble, wearing silver armor, with his right arm exposed, raised high above his head. Chapter 238. Lu Kuan's face was filled with ecstasy as he looked at his exposed right arm. He then closed his eyes and carefully felt it. At this moment, the water attribute magic in his right arm's muscles had been exhausted. Even the magic in the other parts of his body had been reduced by more than half. And all the fire and wood liquid magic in Lu Kuan's bones had also completely disappeared. The only difference from before was that in his arm, there was an additional small amount of purple magic. This purple magic was like a small lightning bolt. Under the control of Lu Kuan's arm muscles, it cheerfully shuttled back and forth in his right arm. Just this small amount of purple magic was enough for Lu Kuan to feel waves of comfort coming from his right arm's muscles. This made Lu Kuan feel like he had returned to the days when he first started training on Earth. After every crazy training of his muscles, the feeling of his muscles aching and groaning was exactly the same as the effect of this purple magic. Then Lu Kuan operated this small amount of purple magic into the depths of his muscles and hid it. He could not use this purple magic that was not easy to transform. Before, he relied on a bit of liquid magic and more than half of his water attribute magic to barely transform this lightning attribute magic. According to the method that Lu Kuan comprehended from the Shangqing lightning-controlling true chant, now this lightning attribute magic was transformed and could not be counted as his own cultivation. Transforming the first lightning attribute magic was only the first step. The second step was to continuously transform the 3 types of magic to fill the body with lightning attribute magic. Because this lightning attribute magic was directly cultivated, it would be gone after it was used. It needed time to transform again. The third step, which was also the last step, was to circulate all the lightning attribute magic in the body and imprint a lightning attribute mark in the body. According to the Shangqing lightning-controlling true chant, ordinary cultivators needed to imprint this lightning attribute mark in the Dantian. Only with the existence of this lightning attribute mark could the cultivator directly cultivate lightning attribute magic. Only then would the cultivation technique truly be on the right track. This last step was something that Lu Kuan had yet to fully understand. He cultivated the mana of his muscles. Only by imprinting this mark on his physical body could he directly cultivate the mana of the lightning attribute. Otherwise, just by relying on the converted lightning attribute magic power, his cultivation speed would not increase by much. However, traditional cultivators' magical power was filtered in their dantian, while his muscles' magical power was channeled through all the muscles in his body at the same time. Could it be that he needed to carve this imprint on every muscle? Converting lightning elemental magic power was also rather time-consuming. Lu Kuan first had to store the liquid mana in his bones. Then he had to cultivate a full body of water elemental spiritual power before he could start the transformation. The process of combining 3 elemental spiritual powers into a different elemental spiritual power not only took a long time, it was also very risky. Furthermore, Lu Kuan's physical body was currently weak. Only after activating the giant arm god, Art, could the muscles in his arms withstand the immense pressure of the 3 essences return to one. If it were any other muscles, they definitely wouldn't be able to withstand the surging power produced during the transformation. As the lightning attribute magic power in his body increased, the water attribute magic power decreased and became more difficult to transform. Every time he transformed, he had to absorb water attribute magic power from the outside world to replenish his consumption. Thus, the time required was even longer. If the small amount of lightning elemental magic power converted each time was used to temper the body, it simply wouldn't last long. From today's situation, Lu Kuan wanted to complete the second step and fill his body with lightning elemental magic power. This would take at least a year or more. Moreover, during this time, he couldn't use the converted lightning elemental magic power. Otherwise, the time required for the second step would be infinitely extended. Moreover, if Lu Kuan didn't guess wrong, the third step still required the cooperation of his Religion. In other words, the third step needed to be carried out while his spiritual roots were still present. Lu Kuan murmured, "In this way, I now have to think about how to carve this lightning attribute imprint into my muscles as soon as possible. The final step will depend on this to complete, thus being able to directly cultivate lightning elemental magic power. At that time, this body refining technique, comprehended from the Shangqing lightning controlling true chant, will be officially initiated. Using lightning elemental magic power to temper the body, all kinds of body refining techniques will also become lightning elemental. That's right, that lightning elemental magic jade slip I obtained from Zhao Jinhong also needs to be carefully studied. This body refining technique's various magical powers are related to lightning elemental magic. Then, this newly created body refining technique will be called the Imperial Thunder Body Refining Technique." Lu Kuan was quite excited. He muttered the name of the body refining technique that was being formed and then laughed loudly. If this technique was successfully cultivated, the cultivation speed would definitely be much faster than before. The surrounding people looked at each other. They saw Lu Kuan stand up from the rubble and found that his expression was alternating between joy and worry. At this time, he laughed loudly. The laughter echoed in the cave, and they all felt a little strange. "Lu Shidi, you're talking about the body refining technique, and you're so happy. Could it be that your cultivation has recovered?" Qin Yushu, wrapped in a white jade cloak, looked at the happy face of Lu Kuan and couldn't help but ask. Lu Kuan's laughter suddenly stopped, and then he shook his head and smiled bitterly. "Senior brother, you think too highly of me. How could it be so easy to cultivate back to the foundation establishment stage? But I just made some progress in a new body refining technique. This body refining technique is called the Imperial Thunder Body Refining Technique. I comprehended it according to the Shangqing Imperial Thunder Body Refining Technique, but there are still many areas that need to be perfected." After Qin Yushu heard this, he revealed a somewhat thoughtful expression. Zhao Qingtian's eyes lit up and said, "Master, so that trace of lightning that appeared on your arm was real. I thought it was my illusion. Then, Master, after cultivating this technique, will your attacks have the characteristics of lightning elemental magic? In that case, every move can paralyze the opponent's magic power. If it's a little stronger, will it be the same as mid-level lightning elemental magic, and could even paralyze magic tools? Lu Kuan shook his head and said, although I've condensed a small amount of lightning elemental magic power, I can't use it yet. I don't know what kind of changes will happen to my attacks in the future. Right now, I'm in the creation stage of this technique. As this stage of cultivation progresses, the lightning elemental magic power in my body will increase. But if I want to use the lightning elemental magic power, I'll have to transform it again. This way, the more time passes, the less magic power I can use. Qin Yushu understood and said, Junior brother means that in the future, because of this technique, you won't be able to use the magic power in your body. Lu Kuan nodded and said with some worry, I'll need at least a year to finish this stage, but we can't stay here for that long. Chapter 239. When Lu Kuan heard Qin Yushu talking about their situation, he couldn't help but reveal a worried expression. Senior Martial Brother, I'm worried about the two Senior Martial Brothers. They didn't chase after us, even though they couldn't sense the essence merging devil chi in our bodies. They must have gone after the two Senior Martial Brothers. Qin Yushu sighed and said, Junior Martial Brother, no matter what happened to the two Senior Martial Brothers, we have to save our lives. Lu Kuan frowned and said, I'm afraid that the Miraculous Gate has people on the border of Luzhou. Moreover, as long as the Miraculous Gate checks the roster of our Yang clan, they will know that we are cultivators who escaped. You're saying that they'll expose our features to the public and offer a hefty bounty? Qin Yushu's face darkened as she thought of this. Lu Kuan looked at Qin Yushu and pondered for a while. Then he suddenly asked, Senior Martial Brother, I remember that when I first entered the sect, you were 30 years old. Now you should only be in your early 40s. Qin Yushu was a little confused. Junior Martial Brother, why are you asking this? But I'm indeed in my early 40s. While speaking, Lu Kuan's face quickly changed and suddenly changed into another appearance. He said to Qin Yushu, who was a little surprised, Senior Martial Brother, this is a magical power of my body refining art. It can be used temporarily as long as you finish cultivating the introductory technique. Senior Martial Brother, check with your divine sense and see if you can find out that I change my face. Qin Yushu released his divine sense, which was at the peak of the middle stage of the Foundation Establishment realm, and carefully scanned Lu Kuan's head. Gradually, he revealed a look of horror and murmured, It's not an illusion. I can't find anything strange at all. That's right. This change depends on the strength of the physical body. Ordinary cultivators won't be able to find traces of magic at all. If we change the magic weapons we use, even if a fight breaks out, no one will be able to recognize us. Qin Yushu came to a sudden realization and said, Junior brother wants me to practice this entry-level body refining technique. From there, I can change my appearance, but what does this have to do with my age? Lu Kuan explained, this body refining technique requires the user to be under the age of 50. This is also the reason why Martial Uncle Zhu and the others couldn't practice it, because of the age restriction, even though they knew about my body refining technique. Senior Apprentice Brother, it's not convenient for you to use your magic power during this period of time. My body refinement technique only requires you to use your muscles. Moreover, Senior Apprentice Brother's spiritual sense is very powerful. The spirit sensing art has been cultivated for many years. For Senior Brother, this Vajra art will only take half a year to cultivate to greater mastery. After that, you will be able to change your appearance. So that's how it is. This way, our safety will be greatly enhanced. Zhao Qingtian suddenly interrupted and said, Master, why don't I go out and investigate? With my current strength of the Qi refining stage, I won't attract any attention outside. I can wait for an opportunity to find out what's happening outside. Maybe there's news about the two Senior Apprentice Brothers. Lu Kuan muttered, Qingtian, you're quite clever. In addition, your spiritual sense isn't weak. I'm more at ease. Then Lu Kuan paced back and forth a few times and continued, To be safe when Xiao Jin comes back, you can go with it. Xiao Jin is in the spirit beast pouch. No one can find it. Moreover, Xiao Jin's spirit ears have a much larger range than the spiritual sense of an ordinary core formation stage cultivator. Even if there's an accident, it can discover it in time. However, if Xiao Jin makes a move, it must be silenced. After all, many people saw Xiao Jin in the battle at Shangqing Gate. Lu Kuan took out 7 or 8 purple talismans as he spoke. He threw them to Zhao Qingtian. These Thunder Palm talismans? Qingtian, you use them to defend yourself. You use these Thunder Palm talismans against ordinary early foundation establishment stage cultivators? Deal with them. Yes, master. Zhao Qingtian revealed an excited expression and took the talismans. At this time, a sound transmission talisman suddenly flew in from outside. When they saw this, their expressions changed greatly, as if they were facing a great enemy. Calm down. This is Xiao Jin's sound transmission talisman. Lu Kuan recognized the owner of the sound transmission talisman at a glance and said somewhat awkwardly, "What? That little monkey can use sound transmission talismans?" Other than Zhao Qingtian, everyone else was incomparably astonished. Lu Kuan opened the sound transmission talisman, and a burst of inexplicable squeaking sounds came from it. Hearing this, everyone was confused. Lu Kuan took out a formation plate. While controlling the formation outside the cave, he said, "You don't have to be so surprised. Xiao Jin can even use cultivator magic tools. It can also control sound transmission talismans with its monkey claws." Just as Lu Kuan finished speaking, 2 figures, one yellow and one silver, scuttled in. This little yellow monkey jumped onto Lu Kuan's shoulder in a few steps. One of its claws was still holding a huge roasted leg. Squeak, squeak. At the same time, the monkey's mouth was still muttering. Then, this little monkey's other paw patted a storage pouch at its waist. A few huge lotus leaves appeared on the ground, and there were many steaming roasted meat on them. I didn't expect that there would be a mid-tier class, one demonic beast in this mountain range. Sigh. With a little monkey like you around, how can ordinary demonic beasts escape from your grasp? Lu Kuan looked at Xiao Jin wiping the grease on its hands all over his body. He didn't know whether to laugh or cry as he said, "Xiao Jin, after eating, go out with Qingtian to scout the situation." Xiao Jin knew that this was an important matter. It nodded and quickly finished the roasted meat in its hands. Then it pulled Zhao Qingtian and walked out. Lu Kuan and the others sat down cross-legged. They discussed their future plans while enjoying the food that Xiao Jin roasted. Strangely enough, Xiao Jin's roasted meat was a little underwhelming, but the taste was indeed not bad. Even Xiao Hui, the crafty spirit beast, was eating with relish at the side. At this moment, Zhao Qingtian, who had walked out of the cave, looked at Xiao Jin and grumbled, "Big brother, let me eat some roasted meat first. No matter what, you should at least let me eat some roasted meat. The flesh of a class 1 demonic beast can at least replenish my body's chi and blood." The little yellow monkey grinned. It took out a pig leg from the storage pouch at its waist and threw it to Zhao Qingtian. The youth with sword-like eyebrows and starry eyes grabbed the pig leg and gnawed on it. He muttered, "Big brother still remembers me. Right, I forgot to ask master where this place is. I don't know which direction to go." Zhao Qingtian, who was chewing on the roasted meat, looked at the lush forest around him and said blankly, "That's right, I forgot to ask master where this place is. I don't know which direction to go." Squeak, squeak. Xiao Jin heard this and used its finger to point towards the east. "I almost forgot. Big brother, your divine ability is so powerful. You must have already familiarized yourself with this place. Big brother, after we leave the forest, I will know where to go. At that time, you can enter the Spirit Beast pouch." You're tuning in to the Warrior Lore YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories.